Alright, let's go ahead and try this one more time, guys. I don't know what's going on with my internet, but it seems like the internet or YouTube or something does not want me live streaming this game, and I get pretty determined and pretty hard-headed. How you doing today, Ryan? RJ, welcome back. Guys, we're going to try this one more time. If it fails again, I'm going to say it's not meant to be that I play this particular visual novel on my live stream. So we're going to go ahead and start over again, guys. It seems like the last two times I got about 7-8 minutes into the visual novel, and all of a sudden the internet, my stream, just goes kapooey. So we're going to go ahead and try this one more time, guys. This is a science fiction visual novel about, it has to do with, it's a science fiction romance, a visual novel, if you would. I don't know anything about it except people are raving about it over on itch.io.com. The link is in the description. It has 3 different endings depending on the choices you make. And people are raving about it and saying it's put them in tears and one of the best VNs they've ever read, etc., etc. We're going to find out if it's worthy of all the hype it's getting over on its itch.io page in this live stream. Alright, so let's go ahead, guys. I want to go ahead and get this started in preferences. This is for a free visual novel, guys. This one is pretty impressive. Has, full screen window. You have transitions, whether it skips your messages or not. And after the choices are, or before. And then you have sliders here for your music volume, for your sound volume, how fast it auto forwards, and your text speed. So a lot of different choices you have. Pretty impressive for a free visual novel. YouTube makes me mad and Zach's mad. Can't stay long. You have a job interview. Hey, good luck with your job interview, Ryan. Alright, guys, let's go ahead and get started on this visual novel. Again, hopefully the internet and YouTube, whatever's going wacky here, will cooperate. And we'll be able to get through this thing. Because I do not want to read the same 10 minutes at the start of this visual novel 100 times. It starts off pretty interesting, though. I mean, it makes me wonder where the heck we're at. Alright, so anyway, we start off looking at a black screen, guys. And it says you wake to a tingling sensation all over your skin. So our skin is tingling everywhere. And that's how we wake up. Something is wrong. Well, obviously, liquid. There's liquid inside your mouth. What the freak? The liquid's in your lungs as well. Can you imagine? You wake up, complete darkness, you have tingling all over your skin, and now you have liquid in not only in your mouth, but also filling up your lungs, or in your lungs. And before the thought even fully forms, you're spitting and gagging. So our reflexes are going nuts here, spitting and gagging, expelling the fluid in great desperate heaves. So we don't freaking drown. And we heard it there. Oh man, sounds awful. Whatever it is, you eventually hack up the rest of it. Not that it improves your situation very much. Your surroundings are black as pitch, and you're too disoriented to figure out whether your eyes are even open or not. There is no clear sense of up or down, and when you try to move your limbs, they fail to respond. So you can't move your arms and your legs either. Wow. You trace the seam of your lips instinctively with your tongue. So now, because we can't move our arms and our legs, here we are tracing our lips with our tongue because it's like the only thing we can do. And we're frustrated and forgetting to avoid the remnants of the fluid that we coughed up earlier. So we can't move our arms or our legs for whatever reason. We just gagged and spit up a bunch of fluid. And now the only thing it seems we can do is move our tongue over our lips, but then we taste that fluid we spit up. Disgusting. Hopefully Zax will reach 10 million subs before 2030, you think, RJ? Orion says, said you were the first one. Despite it, you feel as if you haven't had anything to drink in years. You collect your strength and just enough to cry out for help, So we have options here. This is our first set of options, guys. We can cry out for help or attempt to set up and orientate ourselves. Well, again, before I start crying out for help in this situation, now that I'm given a choice, I think that I would try to remain calm and try to figure out what the hell is going on, where I'm at. Make sure I'm not dreaming, that kind of thing, before I just start screaming like a blithering idiot. Easier said than done, I know. Because if you were actually, found yourself in a situation where you're gagging, your skin's tingling, and you can't move your arms and your legs, I think the natural instinct would be to scream as loud as you could. Ryan says, so I managed to cut a chunk of skin off the tip of your thumb. Oh no. Ouch, Ryan. That could hurt. Damn YouTube. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and attempt to sit up and orientate ourselves, guys. It takes a moment to mentally fortify yourself, and while you wait, you give your fingers an experimental twitch. You're laying on some kind of a hard surface. Intrigued, you try to wiggle your legs to the side experimentally, only to realize your legs won't budge at all. Your arms and legs are strapped in place by thick metal restraints. So not even cloth restraints, we're strained down to this table with metal restraints. Sounds pretty uncomfortable. A table of some kind. Driven by this alarming discovery, you instinctively arch your back, trying to wriggle loose. To your mounting dismay, you find that you've been shackled by the waist as well. So we can't even wiggle because we're also strapped down at the waist. Not cool, YouTube, not cool. Yeah, try refreshing, guys. What the hell is going on? So we're strapped down, guys. We're strapped down at the arms, the legs, and now at the waist, and we can't move at all. What the hell is going on? The darkness around you is absolute. You keep waiting for your eyes to adjust, but there are no additional details to take in. The chamber around you is... the chamber around me is either small and a little cold, and with effort I can lay back down and try to calm myself and consider what to do next, or I'm going to start panicking and be terrified, and tears start welling in my eyes at the sensation of being trapped and completely helpless. I think, guys, again, we're making the easier choice that's to make when you have the options just displayed, in front of you on a screen. Obviously, if this was a real-life scenario, I'd probably be panicking by now. But we're going to try to remain as cool and collected as we can here, and we're going to try to calm down and figure out what to do next. Before you can do anything else, a series of electronic bleeps signals that someone is standing directly outside of your chamber. Light spills in from the top of it just above your head. You get the fleeting impression that you've been contained in a cylindrical pod of some kind before the light blinds you. Please remain calm. I will release your restraints momentarily and increase the gravity by 12%. It's too quiet to fully make out, but the voice sounds male. Before your vision has even fully adjusted, you feel the pressure being withdrawn from your limbs. And with the softest whir of shifting gears, you're free. Okay, so they let go of the restraints binding us to the table, it sounds like. Cautiously, you open your watering eyes, but you still can't see anything beyond the halo of white light above. So this is what we see right here, guys. Basically, just a white light, and we don't know what the hell's going on yet. RJ says, as I was saying, the first Zaxter on the stream, even before it went offline, I was proud of myself. By the way, I'm proud of all the other Zaxters. Oh my gosh. Your body floats gently downward as gravity increases, drifting until your toes touch the cool metal. Luckily, the shift is slow, or you would have found yourself lying on the ground in a heap. As it is, you manage to get both feet beneath you before gravity increases again, giving you some time to remember how to support your own body weight. Okay. Please raise both arms up and prepare yourself to be lifted. What the heck? You aren't sure what to expect now. But immediately after carrying out their instructions, you're hauled out of your pod by a pair of strong, muscular arms. Man, this novel is starting off very, very peculiar and odd. But I'm kind of intrigued as to what's going to happen. I don't know about you guys. Your vision goes white once again, possibly in response to the more powerful shift in gravity. Whew. It will take me a moment to climb down. Okay, so this is that voice again. It will take me a moment to climb down. Please do not struggle. Your rescuer's voice is a cool, impersonal monotone. It doesn't take the return of your sight to fully recognize him for what he is. An android. Okay. So we got a robot here. When he comes into focus, you see that he's a living artificial synthezoid, model 51 to be exact. So we got this right here. Oh, are we this girl? We must be this woman. Because here's the android right here. Artificial synthezoid. Living artificial synthezoid. That's why it says LAS 51. Okay. With both feet safely on the ground now, you're finally able to get a good look at him. Okay. He possesses the distinct facial features of the build of the LAS brand. There are only laborer class models, to your knowledge, that have such elegant, handsome faces. Built to please is the company's motto. That being said, he looks bizarrely colorless. Most androids are given natural coloring during production to prevent them from seeming too uncanny, but this one is as pale as a sheet, with icy blue eyes and lips to match. Yeah, I can see the blue lips and eyes there. Okay, so the LAS 51 says, we must ensure that your cognitive functions were not impaired during the accident, miss. Please answer the following questions to the best of your ability. Are you in any pain? And you say no. You are fairly certain on this front, at least, though the mention of an accident is worrying, as I can imagine it would be. Please spell your first name. Simple enough. Please spell your first name. Kindle? Sure, sounds great. We'll go with Kindle. He nods, acknowledging your answers. What was your occupation aboard the SS Spirit? We were a mechanical engineer. I helped take care of any malfunctioning hardware on board the ship. I was a journalist hired on last minute to write a story about the mission. I was a medical officer. The health and welfare of the ship's passengers were my responsibility. I was the ship's archivist. Anything that required a log of any kind had to go through me before it reached the database. Or I was the ship's cartographer. There has to be one on board every mission in case the navigational systems go down. I don't want to be anything too important like the medical officer. Let's just go with a journalist. We had to write we were hired last minute to write a story about the mission. That sounds intriguing. We'll go with that. We were a journalist. Your eyes close again at the memory of how proud you were to be placed on this assignment. It was going to be the inspirational editorial of a lifetime. Or so you'd promise yourself anyhow. determined to find a new angle, a fresh one to set your story apart from the handful of existing fluff pieces that had been written about similar missions in the past. I see. Very well then. Do you recall what happened when our ship was destroyed? You suck a surprised breath in through your teeth. The ship was actually destroyed? What? When our mission took us to the remnants of the Nobu-Hiram space station to investigate what happened to them, our flight path brought us too close to the wreckage. Vaguely, you now remember enlisting for the mission and hoping, along with everyone else, that the voyage would lead to some answers regarding the infamous spacecraft's destruction. Nearly 5,000 souls had been lost, oh my gosh, and after the initial rescue crews had determined that there was no one left to save, your ship was dispatched to investigate the root cause of the tragedy, only to fall victim to a similar incident, it would seem. The android hesitates in a very human way for a moment before continuing. I do not have sufficient data to say for certain, but it is my belief that our ship's hull was breached by some form of undetectable debris. That shouldn't be possible. All kinds of debris wouldn't show up on our sensors? Or it could have been an attack. It couldn't have been an attack, could it? I mean, we should have been able to detect anything threatening nearby. I'm going to go with an attack. That sounds more logical here. Let's go with an attack. As I said, I do not have all the facts, but I believe the accident was most likely caused by simple human error, rather than anything but failing our sensory equipment. In my time aboard the Spirit, I witnessed human crew members ignore standard safety protocol over 224 times over the course of just 6 months. Wow. That sounds reasonable, though. People just, getting lackadaisical with their jobs and not noticing things that they should be alerted to. Sounds pretty plausible. Many of those oversights occurred in the engineering and navigation departments, despite access to superior, fully functional equipment. So it stands to reason that an error was made by the mishandling or misinterpretation of data by a human. He explains his point of view without derision or disdain, but he doesn't exactly try to soften his examination of your former crew's failings either. Not out of respect for your feelings, and certainly not out of respect for the dead. He is simply presenting his hypotheses in the most direct, logical manner he can, as he has most likely been programmed to do. It's hard not to take offense to the callous words, but he's a friggin' robot. Regardless of how it all happened, the result is that there was a breach. The impact completely destroyed one engine, damaged another to the point that it became unstable. As you were the sole occupant of the flight deck 9, apart from myself, I was unable to get anyone else to safety before the second engine imploded. His eyebrows furrow just a fraction at what is clearly an unpleasant memory. AJ, welcome AJ. Zax is playing a romance visual novel. On a human, the expression would look only mildly perturbed, but it is actually pretty emotive for an android. We were just able to clear the blast radius in time, but the exploding drive core sent out a shockwave that rendered you unconscious. Try as you might, you can't remember very much of this. As you concentrate, you get the fleeting impression of being carried across a flight deck by someone with strong, solid arms, but that's it. There's no face to go along with your memory, no context, just the feeling of being carried and a strong sense of fear. In fact, you might have been suspicious of this story had he been a human, but an android, however, would have no reason to lie. and certainly couldn't have actively endangered you. I've managed to get you into this small maintenance craft just before the second engine eruption caused the third and fourth drive cores to reach critical points as well. So it sounds like this android here saved our life, is what it sounds like. We escaped, and I believe that we were the only ones to do so. This announcement leaves you feeling numb with shock. All those people gone in the span of minutes, and most of them had been people that you knew. The LAS Model 51 finishes his report calmly. It is fortuitous that I have already possessed knowledge in this shuttle in my database. I had just enough time to stabilize you before getting you into a cryogenic chamber for the beginning of our journey. So you ask him, so I've been asleep this whole time? How long have I been out? Or do you say, alright, so we're on this ship, now what? I doubt we have enough supplies to make it all the way back home. I'm going to ask him if I've been out the whole time. You've been asleep for approximately 1 month and 16 days. Holy cow, that's a long time to be out. A month and a half? He rattles off the numbers instantly, not having needed to calculate it in his head, like a human would. Using this vessel's rudimentary navigational systems, I was able to chart a course for the nearest inhabited planet. Amathea is only 2 months and 24 days from here. Unfortunately, your pod is an older model and not suitable for any kind of extended use. He shifts, looking almost uncomfortable. In fact, we may have already stretched beyond its limited capabilities by keeping you in a cryosleep as long as we did. There was no timer set when you entered, so I had to wake you up manually to prevent any malfunctions or loss of life support. That, combined with your physical state before going in, is likely why your waking was so very unpleasant to you. I will need to reconfigure it carefully if you are to use it for the remainder of the flight. Okay, well, he's taking care of us, I guess, right? Do I have to go back under? Coming out the first time was bad enough. Or I could say, how are our rations? Do I have enough to last through the next 3 months if a push comes to shove? I think I'd be more curious about, do I have to go back under? I'm assuming that we have enough supplies and food and everything. Do I have to go back under, I ask him? Coming out was bad enough, no kidding. This craft is only stocked with enough emergency rations for 1 month. Well, he told us the answer right there. But, as maintenance crews are often made up of only 4 or 5 personnel, there should be more than enough for just you. However, there still is a risk that our flight could be interrupted, or that we might not receive immediate assistance upon landing. Amalthea is a sparsely populated planet due to its harsh environment, and the communication devices we have on board are somewhat outdated. It would be best to mitigate those risks by placing you back into cryogenic sleep that's at least part of the journey. You feel your face betray some of your anxiety at the thought of having to go back into the pod, and you're surprised the android actually seems to pick up on it. So he's picking up on your emotions. He hesitates before slowly adding, if we ensure that your physical health is up to standard before putting you under again, your waking should not be nearly as traumatic the next time. Okay. How do your limbs feel? Can you walk? You test out your legs first. You're a little wobbly, but functional. Seeing that you're alright, he places one hand at your elbow to help lead you from the cryo chamber. Allow me to show you around the craft, Miss Kendall. He leads you into a long hall, a flight deck that appears to stretch the entire length of the craft. There are several doors along the hall, all closed, and the android points each one out to you in turn. This shuttle was used by the maintenance crews whenever they needed to operate independently of the main ship. For the convenience of the crew and to prevent them from wasting fuel, flying back and forth to the main ship, it was outfitted with functional living quarters. They are quite minimal, however, as I'm sure you'll see. And he points out the door at the end of the bridge toward what you guess is the nose of the shuttle. The navigation room is down that way. He nods in his head in the opposite direction at the door that you just emerged from. The cryogenic chamber and the engine are both in there. The room and the navigation room are both sealed by a keypad that only a member of the crew may unlock. It would be pointless for you to try to enter. There is a blandness to his voice that manages to keep his statement from sounding too condescending. Well, that's good. Still, you find yourself frowning a bit as they lead you further down the hall. Over here is a small fitness center we have on board for the crew to combat the effects of zero gravity whenever that becomes a concern. We have sufficient gravity controls engaged at the moment, but I believe we can still use the facilities to strengthen your body for transport back to the cryochamber. Before you can even examine the room, he leads you into the next. The muscles in your legs twinge uncomfortably, and your companion takes notice, adjusting his hold on your elbow so that he can support you, or support more of your weight. What a hero! The food dispensary is here, and next to it the crew members' bunks. You find yourself breathing hard, even though you've just barely exerted yourself since waking up. It's a struggle to get inside the cabin, but the android compensates for your clumsiness, particularly carrying you the remainder of the way to your bunk. It isn't the fanciest of accommodations. You wouldn't even call it as comfortable looking as your average escape pod. But the feel of a relatively soft mattress beneath you is enough to make you want to drop off to sleep immediately. And, as if sensing your desire, the android obligingly bends to remove your boots from your feet. Wow. This android cares about us, man. So we just woke up out of being out for a month and a half. We talked to this android on this escape ship. Basically, he saved our life and put me and him in this escape pod because everybody else died. And we were going out to check the wreckage of a big ship where over 5,000 people died in space. And everybody on our checkout crew died with explosions, in engine explosions. And we don't know what happened, whether it was debris or an attack by another ship. We don't know. But this android basically saved our life. And now, after being out for a month and a half, it strapped us in and everything like that to protect us. Now we wake up for 20 minutes to talk to him, and he takes us around the little escape pod or whatever we're on. And we're getting tired again, ready to go back to sleep. Well, hopefully, I only have one person watching right now. Hopefully, this visual novel is not putting you guys to sleep yet. But the android is now taking off our boots from our feet for us and allowing us to go to sleep. Funny, you hadn't noticed your clothing before this moment, but you aren't wearing your usual uniform. Oh my gosh, what are we wearing? Are we wearing a lacy bra and panties? Are we wearing lingerie for this android? Come here, android. Come on, baby. I'm just kidding. Instead, you wear the human variant of the LAS model's maintenance uniform. Okay, that's why it kind of looks similar, I guess. And Kendall says, did you change my clothes? Oh my god. So now you're actually, remember guys, we're putting you guys in the situation of Kendall here, human. And naturally you're wondering, okay, well, how did my clothes get changed? And you're looking at this robot, this cyborg, if you would. Actually, it's not even a cyborg. It's an android. And because the cyborg is half human, half robot. This is all robot. And you're looking at this robot and you're saying, did you change my clothes? Because I was not wearing this before. Did you see me naked? That's what she's wondering. He nods, looking completely unconcerned. Wow. Your clothing was soiled in our escape, and I was determined that you should be as clean as possible before entering the chamber. And I bathed you as well. Oh my god. Now we find out that not only the cyborg, again, it's not a cyborg, it's a robot, it's an android. This android not only undressed you while you were unconscious, but it also bathed you. What? Now, there's a lot of people on the Itch.io website where you download this visual novel talking about how it brought them to tears and how great of a novel this was, guys. I gotta say, at this point, right now, this visual novel is a little bit hard to buy. Yeah, it's a little bit hard to get into. It's a little bit it's stretching the imagination just a little bit too much. A bath while I'm sleeping? That's pretty cool, AJ says. Alright, so anyway, we got an android that undressed us because we were unconscious, bathed us, changed our clothes, and put us in a safety restraint. Angel says, just because you give a machine human form does not mean it's a sexual being. Well, true, Angel, but it's still a little bit... That's not the part that's hard for me to imagine here. It's not the fact that the android would not be sexual. I get that. It's just a little bit... It's just a little bit weird that an android... I guess it's... Maybe my imagination's not good enough, but I guess if it was advanced enough, an android could bathe you and undress you and dress you in clothes and do everything this android's doing, but I don't know. Anyway, he tells her that he bathed her as well. AJ says, I think you mean it's stupid, Zax. We'll see how it goes, guys. People were raving about this on the Itch.io site. You guys can check out the reviews on the link yourself. The link is in the description. Go check it out. Go download it. It's completely free. But all the reviews were pretty much raving on how good this was. So we're going to stick with it and find out if it's worthy of its reviews on its page. This piece of news is almost enough to have you jolting out of your bunk despite your fatigue, but exhaustion quickly creeps over your body now that you're prone. So even she's kind of creeped out, thinking, oh my god, this android with blue eyes and blue lips here saw me naked, and yeah. Maybe it's because he's a little bit maybe it's because he looks human. Maybe that's why it would creep you out. Maybe if the robot looked more like R2-D2 or C-3PO, which is the robot looking one? C-3PO? No, C-3PO was the gold one, right? The gold humanoid thing. The R2-D2, I think, was the small, really robot looking guy from Star Wars. Anyway, if it looked more like a square robot, maybe it wouldn't be quite so jolting. Angel says, of course an android could do that. Haven't you seen Star Trek? Oh my god, Angel. What does it matter? Your sleepy mind argues gently. He's just an android. Exactly. That's exactly what Angel here would tell us. How you doing today, Angel? Welcome back. Welcome back to my live stream, hon. Good to see you. Hopefully you're doing well. You might have continued to debate this with yourself longer, as I'm doing right now. I'm sitting here thinking, what the heck? Why is an android undressing me? You would have continued to debate this with yourself longer, except that we got sleepy and our eyes slowly closed against our will. All right. So the last thing you're aware of before you fall into a deep, dreamless slumber is the feel of the android dutifully, I never say that word. I don't know how you pronounce it. The android dutifully draping a blanket over you. So the android is a very caring robot. It's programmed to do so. Your eyelids feel inordinately heavy the next time you try to open them. When you're finally able to see the room around you, the unfamiliar surroundings take you by surprise. A sparsely decorated compartment of some kind. A maintenance ship. The memories return quickly after that, making you wonder how long the android let you sleep. Let me guess, we slept for another month and a half. No, I don't know. First time we was asleep for a month and a half, we must have really been out of it. Okay, so we say, ugh. A sharp pressure on your bladder. Now we got a sharp pressure on our bladder, guys. A sharp pressure on our bladder makes itself known as you rush as fast as you can. And basically what it's saying is you need to pee. Which admittedly is not very fast to the latrine area. It takes a moment to relieve yourself, almost as if your body has forgotten how. And once you're finished, it quickly becomes clear that your muscles are protesting any kind of movement at all. Well, if we've forgotten how to pee, guys, yeah, I think we've been asleep a long time. Your legs tremble a bit as you try to stand. Showering jumps to the top of your agenda, as you're not sure that you'll feasibly be able to do on your own in this condition. Painfully aware that you went nearly 2 months without bathing, yeah, no kidding, you slowly peel away your borrowed uniform. It sticks to your skin in a very unpleasant way, which I can imagine. Eventually, you manage to strip, without collapsing, and step into the cramped shower stall. Wow. Who would have known this visual novel was going to have a shower scene where we strip down and step into a shower stall? Running water is a luxury on board larger space-faring vessels like the SS Spirit, so you aren't quite sure what to expect when you turn the old-fashioned nozzle in front of you. And to your pleasant surprise, a spray of lukewarm water immediately rushes through the piping. That would feel good, right? Taking a shower after not bathing in 2 months? I think that would feel pretty refreshing. It would appear that this tiny maintenance vessel is old enough to have not been outfitted with some kind of sonic replacements yet. So you're liking the old-fashioned design. You adjust the temperature, letting the hot water soothe your aching muscles and wash away the grime. Why are our muscles aching? We've been asleep for 2 months, and our muscles are aching from what? Rushing to the bathroom? That part right there doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Why would we have aching muscles if we've been asleep for 2 months? That definitely makes me wonder. Maybe Angel can answer why our muscles would be aching after being asleep for 2 months. I have no idea. Anyway, I get it. We're dirty, even though we've been asleep for 2 months. We've had the same clothing on for 2 months. Yeah, it's going to feel really nice to take a nice warm shower. And as you reach for the soap dispenser, your thoughts turn to the LAS model. Ooh, are we going to think about that android while we're taking a shower? Are we going to think about what we'll do now? Or are we going to think about the fate of the Spirit and its crew members? So are we going to think about the ship that lost 5,000 members that we went to, try to find out what happened? The deaths, the tragedy? Are we going to think about what we'll do now? Or are we going to think about that sexy android while we're in the shower? Angel says your muscles ache when you haven't used them, like people who wake up from a coma. There you go. See, I had a feeling that Angel would know. See, to me, when it says aching muscles, to me, that makes me think of like working hard. And sleep, as we know it, is anything but working hard. But Angel is probably right with that. If you sleep for too long, like in a coma, you would have aching muscles. Well, thanks for that, Angel. See, that right there, guys, that is why I live stream these games. Not only these games where I get stuck and I can't figure out what to do, what button to hit, or, hey, dummy, you got the key in the box. Don't you remember? Whatever. People always point out these obvious little things that maybe I'm not aware of. Just like Angel did right now. She gave me the answer that I was seeking. What would I do without you, Angel? All right, Angel. Since you answered that question, you get to tell me what we're thinking about while we blissfully bathe in the shower. You tell me, Angel, where are we going with this? Are we going to be thinking about that sexy android? Are we going to be thinking about what we'll do next? Are we going to be thinking about the tragedy and the 5,000 crew members lost that we went to try to figure out? You know, that was our mission, to figure out what the hell happened. We'll let our lovely moderator Angel give us the answer. Option 3. All right, this should be interesting. So we're going to figure out, or we're going to contemplate what happened about the spirit. It's hard to think about anything other than all the hands that were lost on board the former ship. So many lives gone because of a single stupid mistake. It would almost be a comfort for you to know that you had been attacked, or that there had been some sort of sabotage, because then at least you wouldn't feel as if the entire fiasco could have been easily avoided. That actually makes sense. You shed a few tears for those crewmates that you knew by their first names. That also sounds logical. That if you're on a spaceship and you have good friends, you know, crew members that work alongside you every day while you're on a mission out in space, I can imagine you'd get pretty close to them, and I can imagine you'd probably shed a few tears knowing that they're long gone now. Racket had been counting down the days until her daughter's graduation. Milo had just about been ready to retire. Gray had been desperately trying to get you to promise to meet him for a drink as soon as you all got back home. Can certainly picture that. Such a damn waste. All of it. Mindful of wasting any excess water, you regretfully turn off the warm spray and wring out your hair. Turning around and blinking through the fog of moisture hanging in the air, you were shocked to see... What the... You jump and shriek a bit at the ghostly apparition that you were definitely not expecting right outside of your shower. Oh my god, what the hell, guys? A ghostly apparition waiting for us outside the shower. Well, seeing as how we've only interacted with one thing in this entire VN, I'm going to guess this is going to be the LAS-51, the android again. Yep, I was right. Thankfully, it's only the android. He looks bemused at the violence on your reaction and holds out a bundle of cloth as you sort of a peace offering. So this guy, this android, not only has all the wisdom, if you would, but it's almost like he's cool and collected, and exactly what you women, Angel, seek out when you look for a man. I mean, he's funny. This girl, or we're kindred in this story. We are this female. We're taking a shower, and we're like, what the hell? We see a shadow come outside of the shower stall, and we're like, what the hell is that? It looks like a ghostly apparition. And then when we find out it's just the same android that we've already seen, we're like, who? And then we're probably still a little bit kind of odd, like, oh my god, you see me. But he just kind of, coolly hands you a towel, like, here you go, dry off, Angel says the android has nothing better to do. True. You are awake. That is good, he says. So you can say, that is good? That's what you say to a naked woman whose shower you just interrupted? Or do you say, I don't even know what to call you. I'm naked. Or do you say, get your breath back under control before accepting the clothes? Thanks. Oh, do we just basically take the least responsive action here? Take a breath and just say thanks? Or do we kind of scream at him and say, I don't even know what to call you. I'm naked. What are you doing here? Or do we say, that is good? That's what you say to a naked woman whose shower you interrupted? I think it'd be a little bit freaky to be taking a shower and have a robot walk up and hand you a towel. I think I'd be freaking out a little bit, guys. I think I'm going to, I don't even think I'm going to be as cool as option number one. I think I'm going to freak out completely and say, I don't even know what to call you. I'm freaking naked. What the hell are you doing here? I think that's the most plausible reaction for me if I was in this woman's shoes. It's impossible to cover all of your important bits using just your hands, and you glare furiously, hoping it'll disguise your rising flush. So here you are embarrassed because an android sees you naked stepping out of the shower, or maybe you're still in the shower, and you're trying to cover up your nipples and your lower region with your hands, but it's impossible. Covering everything up. I guess you're doing the best you can, but here you are blushing, and it's just a robot. Again, is this more intimidating because the robot is designed to look like a man? That's the question I got to ask you guys. Would this be a lot more intimidating stepping out of a shower naked just because the robot looks like a man and not like the desktop computer that, that a computer looks like? A box. I think that would make it more intimidating. So you yell at him, and his only reaction is to blink once, slowly. Wow. And you say to him, seriously, I don't know whether to laugh or punch you in the face. Turn around and let me dress, will you? He immediately turns to the side, looking slightly perplexed. So here's an android looking confused. You are grateful when the sound of his voice drowns out your fumbling attempts to slip into the garments without any help. Your embarrassment is completely logical. As I said 28 hours ago, I've already seen and touched your nude form. Alright, guys. Wow. Wow, again, like I said, this android is saying all the right stuff, is just Joe cool and saying everything, everything, I don't know if the word is right, but I mean, you can't get any cooler than this robot here. I've already seen and touched your nude form. I don't know why you're embarrassed, but it is understandable, or logical, as he says. That's hilarious. I'm starting to see why people kind of like this novel. It is pretty clever. All right, so what do you say to him now? He just said that he touched our body. Not only has he seen our nude body, but he's touched our nude body. Maybe, but that doesn't mean you get a free show whenever you want. Or you could say, yes, but that's different. I wasn't aware of it, so I got to skip on the mortifying part. Or do you get to say, that was a life or death situation, you prick? Or do you say, you're right. God, I keep forgetting that you're just an android. I don't know. I think I'm going to say the funniest thing, guys. I think I'm just going to say, yeah, but that was different. I wasn't aware of it, so I got to skip over the, terrifying or mortifying part where you're sitting there looking at me. A sense of righteous indignation swells within you as you punch your arms through your sleeves with a burst of renewed energy. A reasonable person would assume they have some privacy, especially on board a ship like this, with only one other occupant. Whether he's an android or not, he has no right to barge in on you the way he did. And he says, so you're angry with me. He observes this in a somewhat less bland tone than usual. He sounds almost contrite. I am a simple laborer class android. My makers did not see me fit to or equip me with social sensitivity chip. Okay, so he says I'm a simple laborer class android, and my makers did not equip me or see a reason to fit me with a social sensitivity chip. So basically he's saying, why wouldn't I walk in here and hand you a towel? It's my job. It's, I don't have any kind of a chip put in me to worry about how you're going to react or how you're going to be embarrassed. Angel says if it was mechanical arms that came from the wall with towels and clothing, you wouldn't bat an eye. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. But because this robot is designed to look like a male, you're naturally going to be more embarrassed and offended or whatever, just because of the way the robot or the computer is shaped. He's not quite giving you an excuse for his behavior, but you have to remind yourself that androids don't make excuses in order to discern the difference. Okay? He meets your gaze once you're finished dressing. Okay? I had the vessel's biostatus unit set to inform me the moment you regained consciousness. It alerted me that you awoke approximately 40 minutes ago. My apologies, but after 30 minutes went by, I grew concerned that you had injured yourself and were unable to move. So now he's explaining the exact reason why he came in with a towel. He came in to check on you to make sure that you weren't hurt, as any heroic man would do. Like I say, the android is the woman's perfect man. He's saying all the perfect things. He's not getting emotional. He's not getting hot-tempered. Every answer he gives is a cool, collected, right answer, already pre-programmed. And, he's not a butthole. He's just a robot. Anyway, he continues. I would not have presumed to barge into your private quarters under ordinary circumstances, but as you have activated my safety protocols, I felt I had no choice. The acknowledge that he has some sort of compulsion to make sure you're okay only allows you to feel like you understand his reasoning just a bit more. I came to bring you clean clothing and to assist you to the cafeteria, should you require assistance. Your stomach growls loudly at that very moment, and you start thinking about food, and you wince. So again, the robot is absolutely perfect, coming in to take us to the cafeteria, and we now realize that we're hungry as hell. And he nods once, satisfied. He basically heard your tummy growl. He knows that you're hungry. Allow me, miss. Without invitation or prodding, he gently takes hold of your arm and leads you out of the latrine area. Angel says, so a perfect man is programmed with all the right answers. Interesting. Well, that's what men think. That's what men think, Angel. See? Men, if you notice, guys, if anybody's watching this, that is what Angel's bringing up here is exactly what it is. And I find myself guilty of this all the time. Women, see, I'm assuming that this is the perfect man. This robot is the perfect man for a woman. But I am mistaken again. Because one thing I've learned in all my years here on Earth that I still fail to realize all the time until it's too late, is that women, for the most part, they want somebody to understand them. They want somebody to understand what they're going through in the day. So if they are married or they have a boyfriend or whatever, women want a guy that they can unload on and say how hard their day was, or, talk about how cute their kids were, or whatever it was that happened in their day. They want a man who will listen to them and understand them and, laugh with them or cry with them or whatever. And men, being the nature and the instinct that we have internally, what do we do when a woman comes home and tells us, hey, my car wouldn't start when I got home from work, whatever? A man, by his own nature, instead of just listening, is going to act like the woman is an idiot and try to solve all her problems for her. So every frustration that she vents off to him after a hard day at work, the man is going to, by his own instinct and being a freaking dumbass, is going to try to tell her how to fix each and every one of her problems and be the problem solver for her. And women don't want that. Women are smart humans, just like a man. They're not idiots. They just want a man to listen to them. Shut the F up and listen to me, damn it. I know that whatever. I know how to do this or that. Just simple things that a man will try to give her as, answers to her problems. AJ says, I don't like the tone of your voice, Zach. Say you're sorry, and I'll forget the whole ordeal. Angel says, that's okay, AJ. I don't understand women, too. Too complex. No, but I do think for the most part, something that I and most men fail to see is that women, for the most part, really just want somebody to listen to them. And we always try to solve all their little problems or all their little frustrations for them and give them stupid little suggestions or how-tos or, why didn't you do this? Or, maybe you should do this instead or whatever. And women aren't idiots. They know this stuff most of the time. I'm just talking most of the time, guys. For the most part, I think women just want a man to listen to them and be somebody that they can talk to rather than trying to be their problem solver. That's not what women want. AJ says, kind of like how Zax can be. He always unloads his feelings on us during streams. So anyway, we pass through our cabin, leaning more on him than you intend to, and he adjusts his grip so that he can support you without hurting your sore muscles. But this right here is what I'm talking about, how this android is like doing everything perfectly. He's programmed to, if this value is this amount, to do this instead or whatever. So this android is, making changes so that everything is more convenient for you or the human. He adjusts his grip so that he can support you without hurting your sore muscles. So he's programmed to make every perfect movement, if you would. You step out into the hall briefly before he takes you through the door right next to yours. The food dispensary looks sparse and a bit cold. There are empty chairs, a table, and the actual dispensing apparatus, with a nearby waste chute. It's a place meant for chatter and camaraderie. Without them, it looks utterly cheerless. Not at all the type of place one would seek to enjoy a meal in. Please sit, and I shall procure you a meal. It's on the tip of your tongue to insist that his help isn't necessary, but your legs do wobble, and particularly collapse underneath you in the instant you hover over the closest available seat. You doubt you'll be able to get them to move again anytime soon. The LAS model punches a few commands onto the console, and soon enough, the dispensary spits out a meal on a cardboard tray, ready for your consumption. Even from across the room, it doesn't look particularly appetizing. AJ says, kind of like how Zax can be, he always unloads his feelings on us during DVD streams. Yes, I like DVD more than Friday the 13th, the game. That's the kind of stuff Zax says, and I just can't understand it. AJ. Alright, so after ordering you a mineral and electrolyte enhanced beverage, the android makes his way back over to you, meal in hand. He arranges the items neatly in front of you. You should find that I've optimized the available menu options to provide you the most balanced diet possible. There are indeed a variety of vegetables, carbohydrates, and some form of off-white cube that you assume is your protein. An off-white cube, which is our meat. Oh boy, that sounds delicious, right? He gives you a mildly encouraging look, like a mother trying to coerce a finicky toddler into trying something for the first time. So you say, maybe you should just feed me? I respond well to airplane noises. Or do you say, oh, thank you, Model 51, and gamely try a bite? Or do you say, ugh, this looks like someone ate it already. Do I really have to? No, I'm just gonna try a bite, I think. Thank you, Model 51. His eyebrows relax and his frosty eyes turn up ever so slightly at the corners. You suspect this is the closest he ever come to smiling. Okay. The good news is that the food only tastes about half as bad as it looks. It's still very bland, but not so much that the flavor is bad per se. The bad news is the complete lack of taste leads to one to contemplate the texture with a new focus, and it is odd to say the least. The off-white thing in particular has an unpleasant rubbery feel to it. Boy, doesn't that sound good? A white cube with a rubbery texture as our meat. And Angel says, I read the android's name is Lassie. S and 5 look so similar. Yeah, true. Yep, LAS 51. I already forgot what the LAS stands for. Something about Android system or something, I don't know. You gag, despite your best efforts to keep the meat down. Wow. So she's already spitting. She's taking in his rubbery meat, guys. She's putting his rubbery meat in her mouth and gagging. I am so perverted and so wrong. Oh my god. I'm terrible. Oh my god. Seeing that you're having trouble, the LAS model hopefully scoots your beverage closer. You need something to take your mind off the horrid mass of half-chewed protein in your mouth. Oh boy. Do I start up a conversation, or do I methodically count each bite? So he's basically serving you a cube of tofu? Yeah. Let's go ahead and try to talk to him, I guess. Maybe it'll help us get the crap down, if we're not thinking about it as much. You cast about for a topic to discuss when your eyes suddenly land on the model, make, and number emblazoned over his left pectoral. So you're a living artificial synthezoid, huh? That must be nice. That's what it stands for, Angel, right there. Living artificial synthezoid. So you're a living artificial synthezoid, huh? That must be nice. Or I hope this is alright to ask, but I've always wondered how are synthezoids different exactly? I think we know how they're different, don't we? I think I'm going to be a smartass here and say, so you're a living artificial synthezoid, right? That must be nice. You hide a grimace at your own awkward-sounding question. It was the first thing that came out. Thankfully, the LAS model doesn't seem inclined to tease or give you a hard time about it. Again, he doesn't have any kind of emotions. He simply furrows his brow a bit in confusion. I do not know another way to be, so I am unequipped to... I should have been more clear. You cut across him, a little more rudely than you intend, as the last bite of dehydrated vegetable quiche nearly chips your front tooth. I meant to imply that you should tell me more about yourself. Huh. What's your story? Oh my god. So now she's, again, the shape of the android here is already causing the woman here to say, so, tell me about yourself. What's your story? Like he's a freaking human. And he's confused, of course. He's a robot. My story? You nod, chewing with difficulty. I don't know what you mean. I doubt you wish for me to recount my entire history from the last time I was commissioned to the last time I served aboard the Spirit. And I'm afraid I'm not sure which details you wish to know exactly. Your eyes dart back up to the mark on his chest, and you gesture slightly to with your fork. Do you have a name or a number? Do people usually distinguish, how do people usually distinguish you from the other Model 51s? He meets your gaze and holds it steadily for a moment before responding. So eye contact, he meets your gaze and holds it. That's eye contact, guys. Most LAS models have serial numbers that they are used to tell them apart. His hesitation is very slight, But as you are rather desperate to concentrate on anything other than what's in your mouth, you catch it. I do not have such a number. My creator simply called me Silas. Okay, so Silas. There you go. Why don't you have a serial number? Ah, I see what he did himself. If you swap out the 51 in front of the LAS, it looks like Silas. Yeah, I guess. I'm going to ask him. I'm more curious to know, though, why he doesn't have a serial number. Why other LAS 51 models have a serial number and he doesn't. And Silas, now instead of LAS 51, it now says Silas here. Cool. So we now got a name for him. You appear to nearly finished your meal, miss. So he didn't answer the question. You recognize the clear signs of shutting down a discussion, though you're baffled as to the cause. Well, now we really are curious, aren't we? He has basically, a robot has completely ignored our question and changed the subject. Basically saying, I see you've almost finished your meal. Anytime you attempt to speak after this, he just encourages you to take another bite and take another drink from your glass until the food is finally gone. Ooh. Now this is intriguing. Excellent. If you're ready, we shall proceed to the fitness center. With the unfamiliarity of a full belly weighing you down, you have to rely on Silas more than ever, especially since you feel your eyeballs or your eyelids beginning to droop. Oh my god, we're tired again? What the hell is going on with us? We slept for 2 months. We've been up for 20 minutes in 2 months, and now we're tired again. Good grief. We are a lazy mofo. I thought my son slept a lot, but good grief. He leads you slowly toward the fitness center, accommodating your tired stride, but talking loud enough to keep you semi-alert. Please stay awake for a little while longer, Miss Kendall. I must conduct a short wellness exam on you before I can let you sleep again. Thank God for that. Before we sleep in another month and a half. The fitness center is tiny, but it does have a fully stocked first aid station and a handful of emergency supplies, like the rudimentary stretcher that you can see stashed near the bottom. That's probably why he brought you here, in case you collapse. Silas helps you straddle a nearby weightlifting bench and face him as he does the same thing in front of you. Ooh, now we're going to work out with the machine, huh? I will be checking your pupils now. He flicks his wrist oddly and a flashlight attachment extended from the back of his hand. You imagine that this was a feature added to assist him with maintenance work. Makes sense. His face leans close to yours as he shines a light briefly in each of your eyes, checking for appropriate levels of dilation. Response is normal. I'll be checking your heart rate next. He places 2 of his fingertips delicately against the pulse point on the side of your neck. To do this, he actually has to slip his fingers beneath the high collar of your top, an action that feels strangely intimate, despite his cool demeanor. A teeny spark of static electricity prickles your bare skin where he touches it, and you jump slightly in surprise. You wasn't expecting that little shock, was you? Angel says it's exhausting to move around after you've been out for so long, again, comparing to people who come out of a coma. Yeah, see, I would never know. Have you been in a coma, Angel? Is that how you know about it? Or have you worked with people that have been in a coma, or what? Because that is interesting. That's something I never really knew or thought about, to be honest with you. So I'm glad you were here, Angel, to answer that question and to explain that to me. Okay, so now he checks our pulse on our neck. It feels kind of intimate to us, and where he touches our pulse, it gives us a little bit of a shock, which prickles our skin. We jump a little bit. Aw, forgive me, I failed to adjust my electric conduits in time. Hearing his voice from this close and seeing his lips move cause you to realize You're oddly attracted to him? You really need to get laid. I was just about to say that. I was about to say, man, it sounds like she needs to get laid. You really need to get laid if you're already fantasizing about this damn android. That's exactly my answer right there. Or are you in real danger of falling asleep? That you're in real danger of falling asleep despite his administrations. I'm gonna say the middle one, guys. I'm gonna say you must really need to get laid if you're getting the hots for a freaking robot. The turn of your thoughts have taken. Wait a minute. The turn your thoughts have taken would not normally be an issue, but you currently have an advanced robotic entity taking your pulse. This is going to be interesting, I think, guys. Angel says, "Oh, she just knows this stuff." No, you're a smart girl, Angel. Smart woman, rather. That's very disconcerting. Your heart rate should not be so high in your current state. If anything, it should be lower than average. Oh my god, how do you tell a robot that you're turned on and that's why your heart rate is high? And baby, I got the hots for you. Oh my god, this is crazy. And yes, I'm already embarrassed for this poor lady. Embarrassment washes over you at the lack of control that you have over your body's natural responses. I'm going to add in the word natural there. Because I would think after 2 months of sleeping, yeah, you see the perfect sexy form. I mean, look at his chest. It's a robot, yeah, but he has that perfect form. You know, maybe the eyes and the lips aren't exactly appealing with that blue color they have, but hey, he still looks like a pretty handsome pretty handsome android anyway. I think it even said that this particular model was the most handsome of all the androids models made. And so we're embarrassed now that we got the hots for this android. It gets worse when he suddenly cups your rapidly warming cheek with his palm. Yep. So now he puts, again, remember how I was saying this robot is doing everything perfectly? Again, same thing here, guys. The robot, of all the would-be try-hard guys that take a woman out and try their damnedest to do everything perfectly on a date, this android is the only one that's probably going to get every move and every word perfect. Because guys are human, men are human. We're going to make a mistake. We're going to say something stupid, just like she already has. You know, we're going to screw up and they're going to catch us staring at their cleavage or whatever. And this robot is simply too cool for that, or programmed too well. It doesn't have human emotion, so of course it's doing everything perfectly. Angel says she's just into the giant vibrator that he is in her mind. Yeah, no kidding, right? There we go. Angel with the taking it to the next level. Vibrator, giant vibrator. Yeah. So it gets worse when he suddenly cups your rapidly warming cheek with his palm. So you can imagine that he places his hand up slowly, almost romantically, to her cheek to feel her cheek. And she's thinking, oh my god, why couldn't my last boyfriend do it just like that? Your skin is flushed. I may need to take your temperature to ensure... Oh, the Silas says this, sorry. Your skin is now flushed. I may need to take your temperature to ensure that there is no fever. You already know you ain't got no fever. You got the hots for an android. And you say, I'm not sick, though. How do you know? He phrases the question politely and reasonably. Because I know my own body, all right? I was just thinking about something. Or there's no way you're going to answer that. All right, we're just going to go ahead and take this to the as far extreme as we can, guys. I know I already read that this is just a PG-13 visual novel, so I don't think anything in the novel itself is going to be more than PG-13. However, that doesn't mean that I am not an android myself. I am an actual human, ignorant, piggish man. Zaxtor99 is. So even though I have a number like he does, Zaxtor99, and I could be an android, I am a human, and I am very bound to take this over that PG-13 line with the with the entertainment level I'm getting out of this. So anyway, let's go ahead and say the top one, guys, because I know my own body, all right? I was thinking about something. Silas nods in understanding. Wow, he knows what we're talking about, really? I suspected that might be the case. Oh, wow. What? What? This cyborg, this android knows exactly what she's talking about. So now the android knows we're turned on. And as Angel said, she wants the giant vibrator. Oh my god. Yeah. This is what I'm talking about, where I might take it over that PG-13 line. I'm such a pig. It's nothing to be concerned about, he goes on. You aren't sure which is worse, the fact that he's casually talking about your physical response to him, or that he noticed at all. He knows. He's an ever-intelligent cyborg. Not a cyborg, but a robot. He's programmed with his knowledge. He has Google.com built into him. You guys are like, Zach, shut up and just read it, will you? Briskly, he gets up to grab a blood pressure cuff from the first aid station and wraps it around your upper arm. No stethoscope? I can detect the vibrations of your pulse without one. Oh boy. Before long, Silas calls the examination to an end. And with his assistance, you successfully make it into a standing position after a couple of failed tries. That is as far as you make it, however, as any attempt to move your legs is met with resistance from your tired muscles. Shall I help you to your room, miss? No, thank you. I need to do this on my own. Yes, please, with a sigh. Or help me. How about you carry me? Pretend to swoon? I feel so faint. You know what, guys? I already said we're going to take this to the extreme, so we're going to have this robot carry us. I mean, we're already exhausted, right? And I'm sure he's strong enough to do it. So why not? Let's go there. How about you carry me? I feel so faint. And pretend to swoon. His arms shoot out with impressive accuracy and steadies you with a gentle grip around your elbow. Your theatrics have him furrowing his brow in confusion, however. You seem very odd for a human, he says. Well, I am very odd, and I'm making the decisions for her, Mr. LAS-51, Mr. Silas. You laugh, tired beyond belief, and possibly finding the situation a lot more humorous than it really is. Kind of like we are finding this humorous as we read this, right? Clearly deciding that he can't leave you to navigate the halls alone in your giddy state, Silas frowns and tries to adjust his grasp without letting you fall. Taking your arm, he gingerly wraps it around his own in a much closer, more gentlemanly approximation of the way he helped you earlier. Using him as an anchor, you manage a graceless sort of shuffle that definitely would have earned you some laughter in any other company. He guides you out into the hallway and all the way in front of your cabin patiently. At the door, you're suddenly struck with the absurdity of the situation. Yeah, no kidding, right? With your arm folded in his, you almost look romantic, right? You got your arm inside of his like a romantic couple in love. The two of you look like a close approximation of a man dropping off his date on her doorstep after a night out. Just like I said, a couple in love. You giggle a bit at the thought. The thought is more disturbing than you are ready to deal with. Or you stay, if you stay any longer, and I might have to invite you in for coffee, Silas. Wow. I think I'm just going to giggle at this one. He gives his head a short, bemused shake. Rest well, Miss Kendall. I'll see you when you wake up. He turns to leave, but not before favoring you with a very small smile. Wow, he actually smiled, huh? Angel says, plot twist, she is the android herself. Her real self is dead, but her consciousness was downloaded into his new form. Wow, have you read this before, Angel? That actually sounds like something that could happen here. Angel's a pretty bright woman. I wouldn't doubt that at all, Angel. You turn to let yourself into the cabin and groan loudly with relief upon collapsing on the bunk. You are so exhausted by even this level of physical activity that it's hard to imagine yourself back in a normal shape anytime soon. Fatigue creeps over you like a drug, and you succumb to it completely. And you are asleep before you can form another coherent thought. Thank God, right? And Lord knows this poor lady does not need me thinking for her. All right, we're waking up. Or is he waking us up? The next time you awake, you feel as though you were run over by a cargo freighter. You can't move, your arms and legs having seized up at some point while you slept. No, I haven't read it yet. It's a fun thought. Yeah, I agree, Angel. That I could see that happening, though. Groaning, you realize that even the simple task of getting up and walking yesterday had been too much for you. You lie there for a good couple of minutes, gathering your will. And with a grunt of effort, you manage to roll over and flop onto the ground. Ouch. Wow, that doesn't look like the most comfortable ground to flop onto. The distance isn't far. Your self-preservation instincts prevent you from bashing your nose on the floor, but the situation is still pretty far from ideal. Ouch. You're able to move your neck stiffly, just enough to see the digital readout next to your door. It's only 21 hours of sleep this time. Oh wow, we only slept 21 hours, huh? You've managed to bring your sleep cycle down to another 200 a day, a slight improvement. Yeah, a month and a half, and the third time we slept less than 24 hours. I guess that is quite an improvement. After a few stretches, you determine that while your legs are almost completely unresponsive, you have a limited range of motion in your arms at least. You debate whether or not you can make it to the intercom console next to your door. Silas might be by to check on you shortly, but he might also be hesitant after the mishap from yesterday. You do need to visit the latrine rather badly. Uh-oh, now we're on the floor and we need to go pee. Do we struggle for the intercom? Your bladder can't wait? Or do you lie still? Getting out of bed was a stupid idea and you could have injured yourself. I'm gonna struggle because if I have to pee, I have to pee, damn it. Mind made up, you gather your arms in close and begin a painful sort of low crawl over to the opposite side of the room. The distance seems ridiculously far. You inch across the floor like some kind of large, misshapen caterpillar, stopping once for a breath in the center of the room. Oh my god, I can't even imagine that. That has to look hilarious. And just as you make it to the wall to pause to contemplate how you're going to stand yourself up, the door opens to reveal your android companion. Oh, thank God for that. You freeze, and he freezes. His cool gaze takes in your position on the ground, arms still outstretched uselessly toward the intercom, and you wonder what on Amalthea he must be thinking right now. You appear to have regressed somewhat, Miss Kendall. This is possibly the understatement of the millennium. May I offer my assistance? You aren't exactly in a position to refuse, so the android helps guide you through the very few painful stretches that would have been impossible to manage on your own. You should be able to walk off the remaining stiffness. You can't help it. The thought of walking on your own has you shooting him a panicked look. He tilts his head to the side quizzically. I shall help you get to the food dispensary. Oddly, he phrases a statement like a question, holding his hand out to your slumped form as if he's asking for your permission. Normally, he just does whatever he deems necessary for your health, but you suppose that since you could make it on your own, he's doing you the courtesy of presenting you a choice. Still, it seems an odd thing for him to do all of a sudden. I think I should be able to make it on my own, thanks. Well, since you're offering, yeah, I'm going to let him help me. It sounds like I'm in no shape to be doing this on my own. Hey, Montague, how you doing, buddy? Welcome to the stream, dude. He nods stoically, moving to help you stand. Your feet support your weight easily with his added support, and he gives you a second to steady yourself before moving for the door. Wait, I need to visit the latrine first. I gotta pee. Very well, he says. He step turns fluidly in the direction of the toilet, but he's held up when you refuse to budge. His blue eyes turn to yours, obviously confused. Uh-oh, are you peeing yourself? I hope not. The latrine is this way, miss. He says this after apparently deducing that you've forgotten where it is, and this is the only logical reason you could possibly be hesitant after admitting that you needed to go to the latrine. And Kendall says, you should probably wait outside. How can I assist you if I remain outside? The risk of injury in your state is high. Oh my. Now he's going to help us get our pants down so we can go pee. Doing some editing on some videos. Well, you're just in time to watch me fall in love with a male android. I am taking the role of this female not astronaut, I guess, but space explorer, if you would. And space journalist is what I chose, actually. You know, I'm on board a ship. Everybody's died in some kind of an accident. It's just me and an android here that looks like a man, and I'm kind of falling in love with him. So you're just in time to find out what happens in this visual novel, Montague. So anyway, and we're needing his help for everything because we are weak. We've been in basically a coma for a month and a half. Our muscles are sore. We can't walk, and he's having to help us go pee now. And he's telling us, if you don't let me help you pee, the risk of injury is high. He does make his point sound rather reasonable. No, some things are simply not negotiable. Or do you swallow your knee-jerk reaction and accept it's not as if he's an actual man? Alright, again, I'm going to go ahead and turn to my female moderator, Angel, for this answer. I'm going to ask Angel what she would do in this particular situation. Angel, you are taking the role of Kendall here, and you're going to tell us, are you going to let this android that you've been listening to us discuss, are you going to let him help you, I guess, unfasten your clothing or get your clothing down to pee? To help you pee? Or are you going to say, you know what? No, some things are simply not negotiable. I can do this myself. I'm going to let Angel make this decision. Montague is like too hot for YouTube. I know, right? All right, Angel. This one's yours, girl. I'm curious what a female would do in the situation. And since Angel seems to be the only female talking in chat, we're going to give it to my moderator, Angel. What would you do if you were Kendall or Kindred or whatever her name is, Angel? Hey, Melons, what's going on, dude? Welcome. We are in a very awkward situation in this visual novel, which I got to admit is more entertaining than I thought it would be, especially the way it started. I'm definitely intrigued at how it's going to wrap up and how it's going to end here. There are 3 possible endings to this visual novel, though, guys. So if you guys want to make your own choices and play through this, again, remember, you can probably play through this reading it yourself a lot quicker than I can reading it aloud and waiting for Angel here to give me an answer. But Click the link, guys. Go play it yourself. See if you get an alternate ending to the one that I end up getting here. The link is in the description, guys. It doesn't cost any money at all. It's a free download over at over at itch.io.com. Angel, are you still with us? I think Angel is clammed up. Angel doesn't know how to answer me. Are we gonna let the robot help us take a piss? Because we are so sore we can barely do anything. This is quite the dilemma here, I'm telling you what. Angel, I'm waiting for your help. I'm desperate. I need to go pee bad. What do we do? Do we let this android help us get our pants down so we can go potty? Or do we say, no, you've already seen me showering, you've already handed me a towel, and while I was in a coma, you undressed me, you touched my skin, he said, and helped us get dressed into a different change of clothing before he put us in a coma. He admitted to that, but he's a robot, so it didn't faze him at all. I don't know if Angel's AFK or what, or if she's just too shy to answer. I don't know what the deal is. But, you know what? I'm going to say that he's already seen us naked. He's already touched us. He said that he touched us when he had to change our clothes for us. I'm going to come to the realization or the rationale that he's a freaking robot. He doesn't have any kind of emotions. He's not going to get turned on by helping us lower our pants. He's already seen us naked. I would probably say we're going to go ahead and let him. But I want to know... oh, Angel says phone call. Just got back. So, Angel... Okay, so we're going to ask Angel here real quick. She just got back. Welcome back, Angel. I'm really curious what Angel's going to say here. Angel, so we have a situation here. We can barely move. We fell onto the floor from our bed and almost hurt ourselves just rolling a foot out of the bed. We had to crawl like a freaking caterpillar across the room to try to call for help. He came in and he wants to take us to eat, but we told him that we have to go to the latrine. We have to go to the bathroom. And he's like, okay, cool. But we get over to the latrine, the bathroom, and he asks us, you know, do you need help? And we say, you know, you need my... He basically reminds us that if we don't take his assistance, we might get hurt. So he's offering to assist us take a piss. It's still just a machine, not a guy. That's what I was going to go with too, Angel. Yep. And besides, he's already seen us naked. He's already touched us and redressed us and everything while we were unconscious. So what harm is it going to do to let him help us piss now? We don't want to injure ourselves while peeing, right? All right. So we're going to go ahead and swallow our pride here and swallow our knee-jerk reaction and accept that he's not an actual man. Okay, so I say, fine. I guess it doesn't matter what you see. Oh my God, this is oddly entertaining, awkwardly entertaining. One incredibly awkward visit to the latrine later, you were washed and feeling somewhat refreshed, and probably relieved. Silas makes a no comment, which is unsurprising, but a relief at the same time. Yeah, he didn't joke about us or anything. Afterward, there's so many comments I'm thinking of right now that I could say, but it would definitely take it way over that PG-13 line. So I am refraining from saying a lot of things, guys, that I am thinking right now that might be funny to some viewers, but might be offending to younger audiences. So trust me, guys, I am behaving myself about as much as humanly possible for a piggish guy. Maybe I need to be more like a android, huh? Anyway, we're back in the... dining facility, if you would. Afterward, the two of you slowly make your way to the dining area, where he promptly leads you to a seat nearest the door. Silas heads for the dispensary console without being told, clearly intending to select your meal before you can mount any sort of protest. So he's wanting to make sure we eat. When he returns, he carries a tray loaded with the foodstuffs that, well, not more appealing than what you ate before, at least they look different. Your stomach is growling audibly by this point, so you dive into your meal with some gusto. You figure if you can just shovel everything in quickly enough, you might not have to even taste it. Silas watches you placidly as you enact your plan. In fact, it's a little unnerving to be observed so closely when you aren't exactly using your best table manners. Pigging out. You're hungry, damn it. A bit discomfited you. Ignore him the best you can, or ask him questions about his life before he joined the crew of the... That's just a stupid question. Why would you ask him about his life? Except for the fact, guys, when we asked him about his serial number, he was the one model LAS 51 that didn't have a serial number. So it does kind of make me wonder, is there any kind of... Is he an actual cyborg? What is he exactly? He doesn't have a serial number. That was a little bit peculiar to me the last time we quizzed him. I'm going to ask him about his life because I think I'm still going to be a little bit curious about his oddly missing serial number. So I'm going to say, how was your life before your crew aboard the Spirit? Feeling the urge to know more about the strange android and his story, you try to think of the best way to phrase your first question. You wonder if bluntness is the best approach. Silas has proven to be fairly perceptive for a synthetic humanoid, but you aren't sure if he'll volunteer any information about his past if you try to steer the unless you try to steer the conversation with subtlety. So, Silas, I'm curious to know how you wound up on the Habu Hiram mission. You twirl your fork through a heap of flat noodles that refuse to cooperate, sliding off slickly every time you try to pick them up. Ew, kind of sounds gross. Sounds like slimy noodles. Your attention is shifted away, like it would be in a conversation with a regular person, in a conscious effort to keep Silas from feeling uncomfortable. He's an android. He's not going to feel uncomfortable, is he? The effort appears to be wasted, however, as his voice responds, quietly curt. My commission fee was paid to my creator, who then enlisted me in the Spirit's crew. Oh, you say? Warning bells are going off, but you delicately prod just a little bit further, unable to help your inquisitive streak. And how about before that? You should really focus on consuming as much of that as you can, Miss Kendall. So again, he's trying, just like when we asked him about, something else and he just completely refused to answer. Again, he's basically refusing to answer. And redirecting our attention at our food. Angel says, you yourself refer to the android with pronouns like he and him. Like her, you can see him as a man. Exactly, Angel. Yes, I would keep referring to him as a man because he looks like a man. But Angel is right. She brings up a good point. It's an it. It's a robot. Right? Well, we might find out differently here. Let's see if we're going to find out differently. Is it actually a he? Anyway. Your caloric intake is of vital importance if we are to get you back into satisfactory physical health. The conversation is now apparently over. Any attempts to talk to him further are met with polite redirections toward getting you to eat more instead. So we're not able to talk to him. He is deliberately avoiding answering our question. We got an android here, guys, that looks like a man, that when we quiz him about his serial number, he doesn't have a serial number. And when we asked him why, he didn't give us an answer. He redirected our attention at eating or something. And again, when we ask him now about his life before serving on the spaceship, he again completely refuses to answer. How you doing, Boomer? What's up, dude? Sexy Zax, what's up? How you doing, good Boomer? You guys haven't checked out Boomer, definitely click on the dots to the right of his name. Go check out his channel. Big time Dead by Daylight player and a lot of fun to watch. I'm sure most of you guys here already know Boomer, though. All right. Once you're finished eating, he cleans up the same way he did before and conducts you smoothly over to the fitness center. Inside the room, he hesitates, turning to face you. We should begin with a thorough evaluation I will need you to go through a series of motions so that I can determine your current level of strength, flexibility, and coordination. Again, guys, we're with this android. We've already made choices that made her seem like she had the hots for him. And, yeah, we already basically said we made a decision at one point saying she needs to get laid if she's getting the hots for an android. And now he's taking us into the gym and wanting to test our current level of strength, flexibility, and coordination. Oh, man. My thoughts are way past PG-13 here, guys. But this novel in itself, this visual novel, is only PG-13. So I will just hush. I won't say it. It will likely be very tiring for you, and you may be alarmed to know how quickly the fatigue sets in. Again, no comment, guys. Do not be. Silas doesn't seem all too comfortable trying to offer you comfort. He clasps his hands behind his back firmly, as if he's afraid you might ask for a hug or something. His tone also manages to sound even more dry and clinical than usual. You're awakening from a cryo sleep that was unfortunately abrupt due to the fact that we used the pod under emergency conditions. Your brain is still fighting the effects. In normal awakening, you would be walking with only minimal stiffness by now, but as it is, you will likely find yourself sleeping quite a bit until your body remembers how to expend energy efficiently. Taking one of your hands in each of his, Silas leads you to the open area of the center of the room. Angel's like, Zax, get your mind out of the gutter. Maybe you're the one in need of some TLC. I'm just a perverted guy, Angel. Yep. How you doing, Boomer? You still out there, bud? You're going to be starting your stream here in about an hour, aren't you, Boomer? Okay. Anyway, he drops his gentle grip as soon as you are situated and turns to retrieve a simple folding chair from the side of the room. When he sets it up behind you and gestures you to sit, you do so gladly. Silas moves in front of you, kneeling, and takes one of your feet in his hand. Again, guys, he's doing everything perfectly. Gently taking her hands in his hands and, leading her to the center of the room, and moves to the front of you, kneeling. Imagine him kneeling in front of her and taking one of her feet in his hand. Tell me that isn't a romantic image if you think about that. The android getting on one knee and taking one of her feet in his hand. The only thing I can imagine that is a romantic setting. So again, the android doing everything perfectly. He then starts to remove the boot, taking off her boot. It feels startlingly intimate. See what I'm saying? Like a man pampering his lover after a hard day of work. That's just what I was talking about. It's hard to not picture this as a romantic type of a movement and moment. So it feels startlingly intimate, like a man pampering his lover after a hard day of work. I can totally see that. Once it's off, he cradles the heel of your foot. He cradles the heel of your foot in his hand, and you're suddenly struck with how long his fingers are. Not gonna say it, guys. Angel says it's not romantic, it's a machine. Jeez. Listen to the music, Angel. Do I need to turn the music up for you? Listen to that romantic music. Now again, listen to this, guys. For all the pervs out there like me. Listen to the words here, guys. Once your boot's off, he cradles the heel of your foot in his hand, and you're suddenly struck by how long his fingers are. No comment. They curve delicately up and around the side of your ankle. Oops. They curve delicately up and around the side of your ankle, warm as a human's, but jet black in color. For your first exercise, okay, so now he says, for your first exercise, you will lift your heel off of my hand 2 inches and hold it in the air as long as you feel comfortable. Begin. Taken aback by his straightforward approach, you comply without bracing yourself. It is not at all comfortable, and your leg immediately starts trembling. I can imagine. You try to use your core muscles to no avail, and before even 3 seconds have gone by, you're dropping your heel back into Silas's hand. Angel says, you and that girl in the novel can't look past the robot's exterior. LMAO at the no comment. Exactly. Angel knew what I was thinking there. So did a lot of you if you're listening. Like later on, I mean, or whatever. So anyway, we lifted our leg for a whole 3 seconds. That's almost embarrassing, right? Drop our foot back into his hand. The relief is immediate, and you audibly sigh. Well, at least we didn't moan, right? See, that's why I don't comment, guys. A human therapist might have expressed disappointment or encouragement over the less than impressive first attempt, but thankfully your android keeps his thoughts to himself. He calmly switches feet, removing your opposite boot. God, he's undressing us now, guys. He's already taken one boot off. Now he's taking our other boot off. He's already seen us naked. I mean, what else is next? Say nothing? Is there a chance I'll be getting a foot rub after this evaluation is over? I can do that part myself, you know. No, I'm not gonna fight him. I'm not gonna argue with him. I mean, he's a robot. I think I'm gonna continue playing this to the full extent, guys. I think I'm gonna ask him, hey, can I get a foot rub after this evaluation is over? What are my odds of that? His eyes dart up at the teasing tone your voice has taken. A foot rub should not be necessary. There may be some lingering soreness in your other muscles. But an appropriate dose of pain medication should help with that. Okay, good. He's not going to massage anything. That's good. That's really good. Right? You can't help sigh a bit. Jokes aren't nearly as fun when the other person isn't in on them. Well, remember, he's not a person. He's not a person. He's a cyborg. Or an android. I keep calling him a cyborg, but he's an android. Repeating the exercise on the other leg, you and Silas work through your various muscle groups one after another. At the end, he takes your heart rate and checks your blood pressure. You will need to adjust your diet once again, he says. You're too out of breath to argue or ask any questions. It seems like every muscle in your body is well on its way to seizing up. Are you sure this is a PG-13 with the choices you pick? Good question, Angel. As if sensing this, and it wouldn't surprise you to find out he actually can sense it somehow, Silas swiftly guides you through the series of cool-down stretches. You feel a bit silly doing a full cool-down routine when you know you didn't do anything more difficult than lifting your legs, but Silas insists on this. More than anything, it will help with the stiffness and cramps. When it's over, you wobble back to the chair and plop down while Silas fetches you some water to drink with your first dose of pain meds. I would like to check your heart and respiratory rates one last time before you return to your cabin, miss. It should only take a moment. You sway in your seat slightly, trying to keep control over your tired body, and not quite succeeding. In fact, the longer you sit, the more your posture slumps against your will. Excellent. Okay, we're finished for the day. He extends a courteous hand to help you up, but you can only take it with a distressing amount of effort. And when he attempts to get you to stand, it becomes clear that your legs will not be moving at all for the rest of the day. They are, quite simply, done. Wow, so this android has now worn her completely out. And Angel says, are you sure this is PG-13 with the choices you pick? Like I said, Angel, the whole novel is supposed to be PG-13, but with the laughing and the things that I'm saying, it's probably over PG-13. Yeah, I'm probably causing it to be over PG-13. All right. His facial expression shifts, and he looks at you with all apologetic eyes. Aw, he even cares now for us. This is an android, that is looking at us with apologetic eyes because we freaking can't move. We're so freaking tired and sore, and even though we've slept for 2 months out of the last 2 months in one day. I'm afraid there's no choice, Miss Kendall. I am sorry, but I will have to carry you now. Ah, how romantic. With only that to serve as a warning, the android smoothly bends over and lifts you without missing a beat. His arms support you into a position that you are fairly sure only a very, very strong human man would be able to manage. One of them rests in the center of your back, between your shoulder blades, so that you can remain upright with minimal effort on your part. And the other of his hands is beneath the bend of your knees, and once again, you find yourself noticing those long fingers of his. Romantic. Look at that. Romantic picture right there. The woman with a android. He carries you bridal style down the hall, taking care not to jostle you too much or bump into doorways. Wow. Hoping to support at least a teeny bit of your own weight, you are able to get your arms around his neck with some effort. Wow. That just makes it even more romantic, though. I mean, you're trying to help him support your weight by, putting your arm around his neck, but that just makes it even more romantic looking. How you doing, Cheese? What's up, bud? Because you're already looking his way, you're able to catch the abrupt shift of his gaze towards yours. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Are we falling in love with an android? His steps are unhurried to begin with, but it seems like they slow down even further at your touch. You feel his shoulders tense slightly. I'm starting to wonder if this android is really a full android. Maybe I've been accidentally saying cyborg all along, because maybe there's some truth to that, huh? Something's going on here, because he's acting a little bit too compassionate to be a full 100% android, it seems like anyway. His steps are unhurried to begin with, but it seems like... Oh, I've already read this. You feel his shoulders tense when you put your arm around him. Sorry, I thought this would just be more comfortable, you say about putting your arm around his neck. Are you alright? Or do you say, you're not malfunctioning, are you? I'm just going to say I thought this would be more comfortable. He smiles a bit at this. So what is an android smiling for? I require no apologies, ma'am, but comfort seems redundant with your cabin so near. True, he's got a good point there. Yeah, really, comfort isn't a big deal. We're almost to your cabin. I mean, this is more of a romantic gesture, I think. I think this is almost like you're into this android. That's why you put your arm around him, more than trying to help him out. Unaccountably flustered, you turn your head and face forward, telling yourself that there's no reason in the galaxy for your cheeks to be turning red. Wow. None at all. Once inside your room, Silas makes straight for the bunk that you've already been using and halts. I admit I do not know the protocol for the situation. Please instruct me of how you would like to proceed. What? Proceed with what? Help her lay in the bed and leave like you've done the last 3 times. What do you mean? Proceed with what? And you say, exactly. She says the same thing. Proceed to bed? You've already done this before. Yes. Of all the things to get hung up on, the android feels now self-conscious about putting you into a bed. This is a little bit odd. What is going on here, guys? It sounds ridiculous, and you know you'd be laughing if you weren't so utterly exhausted. Just put me under the covers if you can. Oh, he wants to know, like, if he needs to undress her or what, I think. Again, he's giving her a choice. She is conscious, like the one time that he undressed her and put her in something for the coma, she was unconscious. So he made the decision for her, and he even bathed her, he said. But now she is actually, even though she's dead tired, she's actually conscious enough to make a decision on how he should proceed. Okay, I get it. So should I say just put me under the covers if you can, please? I appreciate the help. Or just dump me here. I'm so tired I don't even care. Or you can lay me under the covers and climb in behind me if you want. Wow. So we actually have a choice to have the android lay in bed with us. Even if we chose this, I have a feeling he would not. He would have some reasoning as to why that would be unsafe or something. But I'm going to let you guys make this decision while I get up and get something to drink. Guys, you guys give me what you think I should say here at this ever so important decision. And I'll be right back, guys. Alright guys, I am back. Angel says he feels self-conscious right now because of the reactions you've chosen before. Probably, Angel, you're probably right there. Angel says, I can't even believe option 3 is there. Oh my gosh. I know, right? I'm kind of surprised too that that's even an option. Guys, I said we're going to go with the extremes on this. I said that already. Let's go ahead and go with the extremes. Let's go ahead and find out what happens if we do that. I'm curious. I have a feeling he's going to tell us some reason why he can't lay in the bed with us. Like there's only room for one, it's unsafe, or something. But we're going to find out what happens. We're going to say, you can lay under the covers with me and climb in behind me if you want. Oh boy. Silas doesn't react much to your teasing innuendo, beyond blinking extra slowly a few times. AJ says there's no way Zax is going to date a robot. I would just never look at Zax the same way if he did. When he speaks, his tone is perfectly bland, and you can't quite decide just yet if that disappoints you or not. Yeah, he's not going to do it. He's not going to climb in bed with us, I can guarantee you. Yep, that's what he says. That would be unwise as well as pointless. I do not require sleep as a human does, and spending too much time away from the navigation room would put us at risk of missing potential. Yeah, I told you there was going to be a perfectly good reason why he can't sleep with us. Oh, never mind. I was joking, you silly man. You mean you silly android. Again, she keeps thinking, she's like me, like Angel already pointed out, she keeps thinking he's a man. You sigh, taking the edge off any snark that might have slipped out due to the fatigue. If you could just tuck me in before I pass out, that would be great. He nods, and you can't help but notice that for an android, he does look awfully relieved. He's like, woo, I finally got past this. Let me help this woman in bed and get the F out of here. Angel says, what if he dated a PS4? It's the same as dating his this android in a humanoid shape. That's true, Angel. Good point. It's like dating a computer program, exactly. Understood. You try to stay awake a bit longer to contemplate Silas, but and the strange synergy that seems to be developing between the two of you. I don't think there's any strange synergy except her hormones and my taking it there with the choices I'm making, guys. No synergy at all. It's just she keeps looking at him in the form that they've made him. He's not a man. He's a freaking robot. You can't help but contemplate the Silas and the strange synergy that keeps developing between the two of you, but the demands of your battered muscles and medication-numbed brain win out in the end. I don't know why it went back there. Anyway, you fall asleep quickly. You try to open your eyes, but it feels like there's something thick and syrupy gluing them together. So you stop. AJ said, how do you know he's an android, Zax? He could easily be a weirdo dressed up as an android. Good point, AJ. Now there's a plot twist for you. I agree, Angel. That's pretty funny. So what is gluing our eyelids together now, guys? Sliding back into an unconsciousness is frighteningly easy. Time goes by, and when you rouse yourself from slumber the second time, your lids will only lift high enough for you to peek out at the silent room around you. Falling back to sleep once again is a very tempting idea. You are warm and comfortable enough, despite the fact that you'd really like to turn on your side. Movement. Movement out of the corner of your eye instantly draws your attention. I know, AJ's like that's kind of weird adjectives, right? Thick and syrupy? Exactly. Yeah, that's kind of, again, no comment. No comment, AJ. No comment. Yes, Angel, this is supposed to be a PG-13 novel. Get your mind out of the gutter, guys. I've already passed that point. Movement out of the corner of your eye instantly draws your attention. You want to move your head, but it feels inordinately heavy. Everything feels heavy. You open your mouth to question the presence in your room, but even that reflex is sluggish, and fear rises within you at your helplessness. The noise that issues from your throat sounds groggy and weak. You're awake, he says. You recognize that voice and relax, immediately recalling where you are. It's only Silas. The android hurries to your bedside, offering you a glass of water in his hand. Of course you're awake. It's illogical of me to state the obvious. My apologies. You try to focus your blurry wits on what your companion is saying, but he's speaking much faster than he usually does. I grew concerned when you slept through the last 24-hour cycle. I decided to abandon my post in the navigation room when you continued to sleep upwards of 30 hours. He admits to leaving his post with slightly downcast eyes, as if he's still halfway ashamed of himself for neglecting his own duties. And you imagine that that's a very serious thing for an android to confess. You nearly open your mouth to say something about it before you remember that you haven't even had a drink yet, and you still feel as though you've swallowed sandpaper. Hearing you attempt to speak, Silas moves quickly to support your head, helping you sip water from the glass in teeny, slow sips. We got a subscriber, Joseph. Thanks so much for subscribing, Joseph. I don't know if you're here in my stream. If you are, be sure you say hi. Maybe he's subscribing because of one of my other 1,960 videos, however. But welcome, Joseph, to my channel, if you're out there. So sitting at an even slight incline causes your spine to tingle with discomfort. Yes. So he's helping you take a sip of water here, again, like a perfect man would do. It doesn't hurt, but you have no doubt that will change the minute you try to exert yourself any further. Drinking helps soothe away the hoarseness in your throat, and when you speak, it's only a little more gravely than usual. What happened? Silas does not answer you for a long moment. In fact, you start to suspect he won't answer your question at all, as he seems completely absorbed in the task of assisting you to drink some water. Once you fully drained the glass, he finally speaks in a low, nearly inaudible tone. It would seem that the pain medication I gave you had a much stronger reaction on your body than I anticipated, due to the effects of the cryosleep. I thought I had taken the possibility of such a reaction into account, but He trails off, closing his eyes. Whoa, did this android make a mistake? Why is the android wearing lipstick? Angel's like, why not? If I want to wear if he wants to wear lipstick, he can. Angel's like, because androids can't wear lipstick. They don't deserve rights, even. They're evil robots. Angel's like, well, that's good, though. If you have blue spots all over your body, you know what happened while you slept. That's funny. Yeah, I don't know why he has that blue tint in his eyes and lips. I don't think it really explained it. Then, in a startling show of vulnerability, he lifts his hand to his forehead, cradling it as if to ward away the headache. Wait a minute. No android would get a headache. Why is he moving his hand to his own forehead as if he has a headache? I think this guy is more human than we think he is, guys. You stare. The gesture is so human and so expressive for him that you can't help but worry that something is very wrong with this android. He finishes his sentence, and the raw, lost quality of his voice only heightens your concern. I miscalculated. He made a mistake. Angel's like, color coordination to match his eyes. So do you say, hey, it's alright? I see, fine, mistakes happen. Yes, but I'm okay now, so no lasting harm done, right? Yes. Or do you say, I think we may need to consider the possibility that you've been compromised, Silas? Yes. I'm going to say the last one. I'm going to say what's going on here, because I think I'm going to be a little bit concerned that if an android made a mistake, like over-calculating something, that's like a human thing. What kind of human mistake would an android be? That seems like a human mistake, not like an android mistake, over-calculating or miscalculating something. I think we may need to consider the possibility that you've been compromised, Silas. He lifts his head to look at you as if it's a switch that's been flipped at your words. And gone is the uncertainty. His hands drop back at his sides, and he nods agreeably. I believe that my AI has been compromised in some way, yes. His tone and facial expression are both serene again. If I had proper equipment, I could run diagnostics on myself, but the physical evidence is compelling. How should we proceed? What? You near back in confusion as much as your cramped muscles will allow anyway before Silas clarifies. I have proven myself unfit to make medical decisions for your behalf. Furthermore, my emotional display could indicate that I'm too erratic to be entrusted with your physical safety in any capacity. Therefore, I will defer to your judgment on how we shall proceed. Oh, no, what? Are we now going to get a choice on to have him shut down so that he doesn't make mistakes? Or what are the choices here? Let's find out. Even taking your mistake into account, you're still my best shot at surviving, Silas. Or listen, don't let something like this happen again, and I'm sure we'll be fine. I'm just going to tell him that you're still my best chance at surviving. I mean, I wouldn't have even got to where I'm at without his help, right? Yeah, I mean, I don't want him to just shut down or something. After a moment's pause, he nods courteously. Then I will endeavor to carry out my functions in the future with an even higher degree of consideration than before. I'm sure you will, Silas. Thank you. And with that settled, and your companion relatively calm once more, he sets about helping you through the same stretches he used to get you out of bed the last time. It is even more painful than the other day. It feels like someone removed every single joint in your body before dipping the rest of you in lead. You can't stop yourself from letting out a short screech when he attempts to coax you into a simple seated toe touch. Let's face it, frowning. So he's trying to get you to touch your toes, and there's just no way. Angel says, since humans can make mistakes, everything we create will be inclined to do so as well. Very, very good point, Angel. Thanks for bringing that up. Anything that we create as humans is bound to make mistakes, just like a human. That's very true. Again, Angel with the high wisdom and rationale there. We appear to be facing a minor setback. I can restore you to the level of mobility you had 35 hours ago, but it will take some time, and you urgently need to replenish the calories that you've lost. I am afraid I will need to carry you again. You sigh, but acquiesce, knowing that there isn't much choice. Silas spends the next few minutes carefully helping you to bend at the knees and waist just enough so that it won't hurt you to be carried. Satisfied, he bends and easily scoops you into his arms. There is no hope of holding on to him this time, so you just try to focus on keeping your head tucked in towards his chest the best you can. It turns out to be a very quiet morning. You find yourself too groggy to attempt any sort of conversation, and Silas doesn't volunteer any topics to get you started. The two of you just stare in companionable silence as you struggle to choke down every morsel of food on your tray. Either the meal is slightly better than anything you've had so far, or you're so famished that it doesn't matter because less than half an hour later you're done, and Silas is preparing to lift you for transport over to the fitness center. We will take our time to concentrate on working the stiffness out of your muscles. The two of you make your way to the next room, and Silas seats you in an upright in the center of the rubbery floor mat. His touches are very gentle as he assists you into deeper stretches, always backing off immediately if you show any signs of discomfort. It takes a while to work through every muscle group, but you are in luck. For the first time since you found yourself on the ship, you actually feel fully rested. Cool. Do you feel limber enough to stand? He asks. Yes, I think I am. Uses outstretched arm for support. Are you inviting me to make a dirty joke? I'm not sure. This time I'm not going to make the dirty joke type of a response, guys. I'm just going to have confidence and faith, and I'm going to say yeah, and I'm going to take his outstretched arm for support. Slowly you get one knee beneath you and shift your weight upward, partially onto Silas. His strong, solid form doesn't bulge in the slightest, comforting you with its stability. Or doesn't budge, sorry. A strong, solid form doesn't budge in the slightest, comforting you with its stability. Excellent. Take a moment to ground yourself. Once you feel balanced enough to shift your weight a little, Silas guides you through several slow, low-impact exercises. They're a little more than rotations, really, designed to warm up the joints and loosen the muscles. In your condition, they're about all you can handle. You're panting a bit by the time you finish your final knee rotation, and Silas retrieves a glass of water for you. That should be enough for one day. I will assist you to the latrine so that you may shower. That should help you with any lingering soreness. The thought of dousing yourself in hot water sounds fantastic, despite the fact that you suspect you won't be able to give yourself a very thorough cleansing. Sadly, having to scrub your own back is one of the major drawbacks of old-fashioned, non-sonic showers. Oh no, guys. Are we actually going to have a choice here to ask him for help giving us a shower and washing our back? I think that's coming up. You console yourself with a reminder that you didn't sweat much, at least. Expecting Silas to present you with a choice on whether or not to march yourself back to your own cabin, You're blindsided a bit when he just gathers you up in his arms without a word. Forgive me, but I suspect you'll want to save energy for the energy you have left for bathing. He guesses correctly, and you'd rather avoid the awkwardness of having him help you through that. He carries you through the halls and into your small living quarters, depositing you inside the latrine. I will return after you finish, miss. Please don't hesitate to call if you do need my assistance. There isn't much chance of that happening, but you nod just the same. You slip out of your uniform with some difficulty and take a hurried shower, partly to make use of your remaining strength before the day's exertions catch up to you, and partially to save water. The last of your grogginess drains away as you turn off the tap. It's a little odd to feel so physically exhausted, but have such a mental clarity at the same time. As you move to brush your teeth, your thoughts turn back to the events of this morning. Now that you're able to think on it, you can't help but feel worried that Silas is malfunctioning in some way. I'm a little scared that I had a bad reaction to the medication. A niggling sense of paranoia regarding Silas. I'm going to say I probably have a paranoia. It has become more and more obvious to you with each passing day that something about Silas is not quite right. Yeah. From his strange appearance to the emotional outbursts, you still don't know for sure what exactly it could be, but he's proven that he can be a very real danger to you. Part of you even wonders if he could purposely be trying to hurt you. Your memory of the spirit's destruction is very vague still. You have no real proof that he rescued you, other than his word, and this is an extremely troubling thought. Stories of rogue androids or ones with faulty programming are widely believed to be fabricated and untrue, but android production and companies tend to be outrageously wealthy conglomerates. Theoretically, if such horror stories about their products were to leak to the general public, they would have many ways of discrediting them or sweeping them under the rug completely. Disturbed and feeling anxious, you finish up your post-bath ritual quickly and turn to head back to your room. Inside the cabin, you jump, surprised to see Silas is already there, waiting for you. What are you doing? His brow furrows and he clasps something behind his back, out of your sight. Uh-oh. I came to make sure you are right, miss. He pauses before pointing out. I did say that I would return. Right, yeah, of course you did. There is an uneasy beat of silence, and oddly enough, silence is the one who breaks it. I take it you will be retiring soon, then? You definitely are feeling the muscle fatigue at this point, but in all honesty, you aren't actually that sleepy yet. Yes, there's no need for you to stay, or I'm really not tired. Is there anything to do on board to pass time? Maybe later, but for now, I wouldn't mind some company. I'm just gonna say I'm not really that tired. What's to do to pass time? Silas's blank look isn't very encouraging. His rigid stance shifts and his hands remain behind his back, still obviously hiding something from your gaze. Uh-oh, that's a little bit scary. What is he hiding? So you say, what is that you got there? And he goes very still. Uh-oh, this is not good, people. His eyes meet yours in an expression that, on a human, would barely classify as uneasy. On him, it practically screams of embarrassment. After a moment, he slowly withdraws a small bottle that he's been holding out of view and shows you the label. Silas, that is a bottle of massage oil. What? You feel yourself turn red? You're here to offer me a massage? Laugh and give him a flirty wink? Is this an excuse to put your hands on me, huh? Oh my gosh. I had no idea. I had no idea what it was. So he's got a bottle of body massage oil to massage her. Again, I'm going to go with the extreme here, guys. I'm going to go with a sarcastic, sassy response and say, give him a flirty wink and say, that's an excuse to put your hands all over me, isn't it? Admit it. He opens his mouth to give a short reply, but then closes it again, shooting you a look that is almost endearingly confused. I simply thought that since pain medication has proven to be too dangerous, you might appreciate another method of coping with the muscle pain and stiffness. Huh. I am sure that you are aware that androids possess no proclivities towards physical contact. So basically, they have no desire to have physical contact. Take pity on the poor, clueless android and accept a good grace. His words inflame your curiosity, but you let go for now. Steal a free massage. Or wince when you recall just who you were teasing. Thanks, but I'm too tired. I'm just going to let go of my curiosity and take the free massage. Still looking a bit nonplussed at your reaction, Silas acknowledges your acceptance with a stiff nod. I will return shortly with a towel. You should find yourself a comfortable prone position on your bunk in the meantime. To follow his instructions, methodically unfastening your uniform and pulling your arms out of the sleeves. Oh, we're getting naked for the android now, guys. What is this novel? I know, right, Angel? Now we're getting undressed, it sounds like, for the android to massage her with body oil. Wow. The loose fabric gathers beneath your chest as you lie down on the bed, bare from the waist up, and head turned towards one side. Wow. And AJ says, so how would she tell her parents this? Hey, Mom and Dad, I'm dating a robot. I know, right, AJ? While you wait, you can't help but wonder if he'll be as unaffected by your body as he was with the first, or was it second, time he saw you in the nude. Yeah, the only time we remember is when he saw us naked in the shower to hand us a towel and check on us. When Silas finally returns, he frowns slightly. You do not intend to let me massage your legs? Well, we did a pretty good job stretching them already. My back and shoulders are the areas giving me the most trouble right now, anyway. He continues to look dubious, but he doesn't push and instead motions you to scoot closer to the edge of the bed. From this position, he can reach the muscle groups you mentioned from his seat on the mattress next to you. So he sits down on the mattress next to you and starts massaging you with massage body oil. Angel says you can't date a vibrator. Starts rubbing his hands together, the oil. I think I missed that. It is on the tip of your tongue to ask him if the oil isn't going to cause problems for him, but you don't get to because the sensation of his slick fingers on your skin is so startling. You tense under his hands for a moment. Ooh. Hey Kelly, how you doing? First time viewing? Welcome to my stream, Kelly. How you doing today? Alright, to catch you up, anybody, Kelly, anybody else here, we have a visual novel that was suggested to me by one of my viewers. It was completely free at the link in the description, and we find ourselves on board with an android. Everybody else died in some engine explosions and stuff like that, and we are on basically like a rescue type of a craft to try to get us to a safe planet or whatever. Kind of a sci-fi novel, but a romance novel, if you would, as we seem to be falling in love with an android that's only purpose is to help us and protect us. But now we find ourselves, I think we're at the end of this. He is actually rubbing body massage oil on us and giving us a full body massage with lotion, or body oil, sorry, and to better help our stiff muscles because we were in a coma for a month and a half. And like our muscles get really stiff and tired really easily after being in a coma, as my good moderator Angel has pointed out. Anytime you're in a coma for that long, your muscles get really stiff and sore just from being the inactivity, which I had no idea. So anyway, you are now tensing under his hands for a moment, feeling his robotic hands work your skin and your muscles. And again, just like I've already mentioned, guys, this is an android. He's going to be making every motion absolutely perfectly. So if you can imagine the most perfect man making the exact right amount of pressure, the exact perfect movements and rotations and everything with his fingers so that it feels absolutely amazing, that's probably what you're getting here as he massages your back, especially with the body oil. And probably feel pretty fantastic. And he says, I apologize, I should have warned you. Human skin is much more delicate and sensitive than anything else I work with. His long, again it mentions his long fingers. His long fingers glide over your back in slow, firm strokes as he speaks. Every knot he encounters loosens up gradually under his gentle ministrations. Again, like I said, the perfect movements and circular motions and everything with his robotic hands. Angel says, and the girl in the novel is often obsessing over his long fingers. Yeah, exactly, right, Angel? Yeah, she's mentioned it like 4 times now, how long his fingers are. And now she's feeling those long fingers perfectly touch her skin. Yeah, I had no idea what this was what this was about when I got into it, guys, but it has turned out to be, it's only PG-13, but I think my perverted manly thoughts here are taking it way past PG-13, and I'm laughing when I shouldn't be laughing. I'm making little jokes when I shouldn't probably be making jokes. I'm probably taking it over that PG-13 line, but I gotta say, I have refrained from saying a lot of things that I could have said, and we'll try to continue to behave. Right, Angel? Anyway, you don't know whether or not there's some aspect of his programming that tells him how much pressure he can cause without hurting you, but he manages to work through every kink with only the minimal amount of pain. Again, like I said, he's a robot. He's going to be applying the perfect amount of pressure, the exact right motions and everything. So imagine a perfect body massage, if you would. Slowly, you feel your body go fluid. I will move up to your shoulders now, he says. See, because he's working over her back and now her shoulders, any woman that knows a man already knows that if this is a real man, come on, Angel, if this is a real man instead of a man android, a machine, where would his hands be? His hands wouldn't be perfectly massaging every back muscle, would they? Most men, anyway, where would their hands be? Somewhere else. Anyway, his voice is quiet and soothing, making you almost wish he'd keep up a steady stream of chatter so that you'd have something pleasant to listen to. So now she likes his voice as well. It's a shame there's no music. This is what you say. There's a shame there's no music? Or where does a laborer class android learn to give a massage? I don't know. I'm assuming that, I don't know, labor class android learned to give a massage. I think I'm going to ask him that. I don't know. Let's find out. Your teasing tone falls a bit flat, giving your particularly purring under his luxurious movements. I learned by observing the other crew members' interactions with one another. Oh, wow, he learned how to massage by watching people. That's cool. All right, Boomer, how you doing, man? Have a good one, dude. Love you too, dude. We'll see you soon, man. Have a good stream, Boomer. Being on the maintenance crew in particular was physically vigorous for the humans. Enough that they would sometimes offer one another impromptu massages. So that part of them is going to be a little more romantic than maybe a perfect android, I guess. I heard one of them mention oil as a necessity, in that the recipient should be lying down. Ah. So he's learning from human behavior. You can't help wondering if what Silas overheard was really so innocent, if it was a precursor to something more scandalous. The rest is an extrapolation of analysis of information already stored in my memory banks. Satisfied that you successfully managed to get Silas rambling, at least for a little while, you allow your eyes to drift shut, smiling a bit. His hands continue to work their magic over your shoulders and down your arms. Unlike a human, he never seems to tire. Well, wouldn't that be nice for you women out there? Angel, how nice would it be to have an android like this? Imagine, I'm going to take it past the PG-13 guys for some of you here, but imagine if his fingers are working so perfectly over her body with a massage. Imagine the perfect movements made by this android in every way, if you would. In every way. The perfect movements and motions, and a man that never tired. Imagine a man that never tired. Could you get enough of this android? If you think of it like that, ladies? Anyway, unlike a human, he never seems to tire. Kelly Tootin says, what was getting ready to say? I need an android. Exactly. Angel says, this girl thinking of the robot as a sexual thing is gross. Well, yeah, I can see both sides of it, actually. Angel, that is pretty gross. This girl thinking of a robot as a sexual thing is gross. It's not a man, jeez. Yeah, I got to give you that one, Angel. I think I have to agree with you there. How are you going to fall in love with a freaking robot or want to have or start having sexual desires with a robot? Anyway, it isn't long before you find yourself fighting slumber. And the last thing you remember, besides the smooth, uninterrupted glide of his hands over your skin, is the tickle of hair across your neck. His fingers are gentle as they brush the strands out of his path, and you imagine they linger a moment before resuming their activity. Your lips remain curled in a smile as you surrender to sleep. It takes nearly a week before you can move easily about your own. As your sleep cycles grow shorter and regulate themselves, you find yourself wandering around more and more often, searching for things to occupy yourself with. Outside of your regularly scheduled meals, physical therapy sessions, and massages, Silas does not seek out your company. You feel rather disappointed by this, Silas, as it sounds. You actually enjoy talking to him. Conflicted about it. He's not an ideal companion, but it does get very lonely. Are you more relieved by this? You don't fully trust him. Or indifferent about it. It'd be nice to chat, but what's important is getting to safety. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how great it would be to be talking to a robot all the time, even though she's kind of expressing these things or joking with him or whatever. I don't know how much that would actually satisfy your need for human, for human, what's the word I'm looking for? For human correspondence or human communication. I don't really think a robot talking the way he does would satisfy your needs for other human correspondence and activity. I'm just talking about talking in general. I don't know that robot would really satisfy your needs for that. I think she would be dying to actually see a real human man or a woman or a kid or her family or anybody. I don't think she would be dying to talk to him and be disappointed. So I'm not going to go with that one. I'm not going to say I don't trust him. I'm going to say, yeah, he's been treating her pretty well and taking care of her. I'm going to say she probably trusts him quite a bit. I think I'm going to go with the last one, guys. It'd be nice to chat maybe, but what's important is getting back home, getting to safety, so that I can actually talk to somebody else that's actually human. He alternates between hiding himself away in the navigation room and tinkering in the engine room, both places that you're forbidden to access. Although the word forbidden implies that you would have face time or have to face some form of penalty for venturing there, and you're fairly sure there's nothing Silas could do that would punish you. It's not as if he can physically hurt you, because that would go against the very directives that are included by law in every robotic entity's programming. He can't take any action that would limit or subvert any choice of yours, period, so long as you aren't putting yourself in any danger. The worst you'd probably earn yourself is a stern lecture. These are the only way stray thoughts passing through our very bored mind. Yeah, I get that she'd be bored. Still, your gaze lingers to the door of the navigation room in particular. It's the only area of the ship that you haven't seen. Do you wander over to the control panel more out of curiosity than anything else, or turn attention elsewhere? The room is really none of your business. My curiosity is always going to get the best of me, guys. Yeah, exactly, Angel. Angel says that she has hands of her own. Exactly. True. Granted, it's kind of hard to put those hands on your back and give yourself a back massage. But yeah, for what I think you're implying here, Angel, yeah, I think her hands would suffice. We're going to wander over to the control panel, though, and we're going to break the rules just because I'm curious, if anything else, if there's anything we can find out about anything. You reason that there's no harm in looking, since there's no way you can unlock it anyway, right? The panel is a simpler, older design that you aren't familiar with. Without even thinking about it, you reach out to tap the display lightly. What are you doing? You squeak in alarm as a firm, unforgiving hand silently clamps around your wrist. There's no need to look up to know that it's attached to the very irritated android. You glance up at him anyway, quelling just a bit at the hard glare that he's giving you. I was just looking at the access panel. I wasn't trying to go in. Oh, hey, Silas. Fancy seeing you here. Or I was hoping I could take a quick look. I wouldn't have touched anything. I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to say the truth. Why not? I wouldn't have touched anything. I really was hoping to get a look. Yeah, I'm curious. Perhaps I did not make this sufficiently clear to you when you first awoke. Only members of the maintenance crew are allowed past these doors. As you are most assuredly not a member of the said crew, there is nothing beyond this point that you need to concern yourself with.
Is that a base price?
Resentment fills you at being spoken down to like this, regardless of whether you were in the wrong or not. Look, his grasp around your wrist tightens briefly. It doesn't hurt, but it does serve to interrupt your thoughts. There is no conceivable benefit to you entering this room that would outweigh the consequences of what could happen if you were to accidentally mishandle any of the equipment. The slightest miscalculation could result in another collision in our course being alerted beyond the scope of how long your rations will last. Do you understand? Even the risk of something going wrong is minimal. I cannot allow you to endanger your life, no matter how slight the risk is. Wow. We got in trouble. Zaxter got in trouble. AJ says she's desperate. Plot twist, Angel says. Only reason she's not allowed in the room, she would find out they're not in space, but in an underground bunker lab. Ooh, Angel, I like it. Things that make you go, yeah, that could be. Or somewhere where she doesn't think they are anyway. Exactly. And he's not an android after all. Ooh, the plot thickens. Could it be? Could Angel be onto something here? You can't help but flare. You can't help the flare of irritated suspicion that sparks. Is he hiding something? You swallow your defensive reaction and try to see things from his point of view. He is making perfect sense, but I kind of suspect that's BS. Or nod reluctantly. You understand what he's saying, even if he is overreacting. What do you think, guys? What do you think I should say here? I think I'm gonna go with thinking that he's hiding something. I honestly believe he's hiding something. Yeah, we're gonna go with that, guys. I think he's hiding something in there. I don't trust him. I have found that for whatever reason, I do not trust this android. He's too perfect. I don't know. Your hackles are up at the latest round of condensation. You wonder how being of a supported higher intelligence can jump to conclusions like this without allowing you time to explain yourself. The injustice of this thought angers you enough that you hear a half-baked accusation come tumbling out of your mouth before you're even fully given a thought. Uh-oh, now we're going to say something dumb. I'm beginning to question whether or not this is really about my safety, Silas. Ooh, good one. His humanoid eyebrows jerk upward in surprise. I do not understand your insinuation. And she says, you say you're not letting me in these rooms to keep me safe, but I think you know by now that I'm hardly going to run around pressing buttons and poking things. Whatever you think of me, you know that I'm not an idiot. She's got a point. This seems to be some kind of a weird, repressed android power trip. Ooh. To punctuate your own statement, you glance meaningfully down at where his hand is still tapping your wrist. Wow, this has gotten good. Drama. He follows your gaze and drops it swiftly, so he lets go of your wrist now. His expression turns dark with inner conflict. How can an android have inner conflict and an expression like that? That's what I'm saying. Are we sure this is a real android? And you know that you've successfully gotten him to question his own actions. Oh, wow. It feels a teeny bit like you're exploiting his insecurities regarding his possibly scambled programming. And you brush it off. You aren't a child. And the controlling behavior needs to stop now. The two of you stare each other down. So now you're staring down this android. Your gaze is bold while his is searching and unsure. I am forced to admit that I... Uh-oh. What's he going to admit, guys? I cannot fault your concerns. And I can't dismiss them with your concerns with complete certainty. He looks away from you with a slight grimace, the picture of self-doubt. Perhaps if you allow me to accompany you, so that I may ensure that you do not damage anything. You feel your jaw go slack with surprise. Wow, he's going to take you in there now. You never thought that you'd be able to charge the android's mind. You were simply standing up for yourself. Your body is still stiff with shock when he strides to the door of the navigation room and adroitly punches in the code that will grant both of you entry. The door slides open with a gentle swish. After you, miss. You force your feet to move, unwilling to waste this opportunity. The chamber is absolutely cavernous in size, and takes you a moment to stop gaping stupidly. Silas follows you in on quiet feet, beckoning you toward the large window that takes up most of the craft's bow. Ahead, the view is a gorgeous spread of stars against the backdrop of vast, empty space. You crowd closer to the front of the ship to look at it, aware that Silas has clasped his hands behind his back and taken up a position not too far away from you. There are countless colored dots on the horizon, sprinkled as far as the eye can see. Even as you watch, the skyscape slowly shifts as the ship cruises onward to your destination, leaving those billions of stars and planets behind. It is remarkable, isn't it? Silas breaks the silence with a musing quality to his voice. The navigation systems on board this craft are unrefined. I am obliged to correct the ship's steering at least once a day to ensure that we remain on course. Because I am forced to be here so often, I find myself watching the stars more often than I do almost anything else, aside from assisting you, Miss Kindle.
Yes, dude? What do you want? What?
You make it sound so lonely? That seems like it would get boring after a while. Or couldn't you do something more productive with your time? No, that's a bitchy comment to make. I'm just going to say, seems like that would get boring after a while. But he is a robot, too. Let's see what his response is to being bored after a while. His lips quirk in that reluctant, almost smile of his. Tedium does not exist for an android the way it does for a human. I could perform a simple task 100,000 times and receive the same amount of satisfaction the last time as I did the first. That said, being able to stand here for hours without an urgent need to move anywhere or do anything is perhaps the only kind of luxury I am capable of enjoying. You watch his features shift back to their typical expression. I do not wish to waste it. A comfortable silence descends over you, and as both the minutes and stars pass by, you amuse yourself by drawing constellations before they disappear. You can't find any that you already know of, despite the unfamiliar angle you're looking from, but that doesn't stop you from creating your own. Oh wow, look at that. That's cool. That's true, Angel. It's only a bitchy comment if you're talking to a human. True. Good point. It's surprisingly challenging. You use your finger to trace the images that you can, that only you can see against the glass. What are you doing? He says. You jump, having nearly forgotten that he was there. Still, you can't help feeling a bit pleased that he seems interested enough to ask. I'm making constellations. He frowns, looking back at the stretch of space ahead of you. Most of the stars I see would be impossible to view in a recognizable configuration from Earth. You shake your head, smiling a bit, thinking he has no imagination. No, I mean, I'm making up my own. He doesn't offer you an answer right away, and you watch the shifting in his expression in the window. He looks strange. How whimsical of you. Haha, how human you mean? That doesn't exactly sound like a compliment, you know. Or, oh, don't make that face. You can do it too, come on. Or do I challenge him to do it too? I don't think he's going to comply with that, so no point even going there. I don't think he's going to start drawing pictures in the stars with us. I could be wrong, but... I'm going to say, how human you mean. He bows his head slightly. I meant no offense. His words chase away your smile, and you try to classify the tone he uses. It sounds wistful, for sure, perhaps even envious. Such an activity is beyond my capabilities. Yep, see, if we would have challenged him to draw stars with us, he wouldn't even been able to. Such an activity is beyond my capabilities. His voice turns as remote and lifeless as it was the day you first met him. The change is subtle, but you can't help picking up on it, realizing belatedly how attuned you've become to this strangely emotive android. It was not programmed to find things that aren't there. Or I was not programmed to find things that just aren't there. He doesn't frown or do anything other than make a completely factual statement. And somehow, it's that absence of unhappiness that really resonates with you the most.
That's cool. Dude, that's
You want to confront him, but you aren't sure what to do? No, I'm not one to confront him. Reach out wordlessly to touch his hand, or you shift uncomfortably, knowing that comfort is not your strong suit.
He's so sad.
I don't know, just out of curiosity, I guess I'll touch his hand. I don't know. That's just completely out of curiosity, because it's the one I'm most curious will happen if I do. Alright, let's reach out and touch his hand with, like, an understanding, like, oh my god, it must be awful to not be able to imagine or dream. The instant your fingers make contact with his, he recoils. Wow. It is only the slightest of movements, possibly more out of surprise than anything else, but it still underscores the issue. Yeah, why would an android recoil? That seems like an emotion. If she lightly touches his hand, why would he shockingly recoil his arm back? Unless he had some... Again, there's so many things that make me think he's got some kind of human emotion in him. So I keep thinking that he's almost like an android rather than a full-out... I mean, I keep thinking he's almost like a cyborg, which is half human, half machine, rather than like a full android. Full machine. How does one offer comfort to an android? It's a question that you both appear to be stewing over, as Silas meets your gaze with confused and blue eyes. When's that visual novel of Zaxtorian's everyday life coming out? That's what we're watching now, Angel says. Oh my god, so Zax is an astronaut? You know Zax is an insecure girl, right? And he dates robots, obsessed with the length of Android's fingers. Oh my god, Angel, shut up. You guys are so mean to me, picking on me. You guys know you're enjoying this in some kind of sick, weird way. I know I am. It's kind of weird. It's kind of different, for sure. It's a little bit longer than I was hoping it'd be. I was hoping it would be done in like 2 hours or less, or somewhere around there. I do have a feeling it's coming to an end here, though. Anyway, so we're both questioning, how do you comfort a robot? And his eyes meet mine, and he has a gaze of confusion. And he's like, are you trying to console me? I am appreciative, but your concern is unnecessary. He turns away from you, looking back towards the wide window and the stars beyond. Whether or not it's because he feels uncomfortable with the increasingly emotional turn your conversation has taken, you do not know. To his credit, however, he doesn't ignore your overture. He simply speaks the next thought to your reflection instead of your face. So now he's talking to your reflection in the glass. It is unnecessary because any enjoyment I would gain from such an activity would pale beside the gratification I already receive in watching you enjoy it. Wow, that was pretty deep right there, guys. So he says any enjoyment he would gain from such an activity as consoling, let's say a hug, right? Any enjoyment he would gain from a hug of her would pale from the gratification he would already receive just from watching her enjoy that hug or touching him or whatever. Interesting. Oh my god, Angel, shut up. It's a little bit longer than I thought it would be. Zach's talking about the android's fingers. Oh my god. Oh, he's such a brat. You feel yourself flush at his words? What exactly does that mean? So basically he's saying he gets pleasure from seeing her happy. Is what it kind of sounded like. Does he realize what he's saying? You only stare at him in shock. Or, hey, I feel like I should warn you, a lesser girl might take that the wrong way, Silas. Yeah, I'm going to flush at this. I think I'm going to be surprised at this. I'm already kind of surprised that he said that. Why would he say that any pleasure he would get, or whatever, would pale in comparison to the pleasure he would get from seeing her happy? What exactly does that mean? And I blush. He glances your way, raising an eyebrow or raising a brow at your reaction, but thankfully doesn't comment on how red your face must be. You can't help it. His words are the closest thing to a compliment he's ever paid to you, but you realize that he could mean them in a completely innocent, non-romantic way, so you wait for him to elaborate. He makes firm eye contact with you before continuing. I only mean that I already spend more than enough time observing the stars and planets that go by on my own. You being here, delighting in them, is the rarer, more interesting sight to me. As an android, Silas is likely not familiar with the phrase digging the hole even deeper, but you sense that even if he knew how to explain himself further, he wouldn't. Yeah, exactly. I don't think he's helping his cause here. You let the subject drop for now. The air between you feels a little more awkward than it did when he first invited you into the room, but it isn't an oppressive awkwardness. Neither of you attempts to make further conversation. Eventually, you decide it's time to head back to your room, and Silas follows, watching furtively to make sure you don't touch anything on the way out. The navigation room's door closes behind him with an electronic chime that signals the locking mechanism is once again in place. You can't help feeling that your time here, or in there, seemed cut short. Before you can begin to work out how soon you'll be able to convince Silas to allow access again, he turns to you. If there's anything else I can do for you, I will return to the... if there's nothing else I can do for you, I'll return to the engine room and resume work on your cryogenic pod. You blink. The sudden placid way he's talking to you now, as if the hour you just last shared looking at the stars wasn't as profound or personal to him as it was to you, is perplexing. Perhaps he's still processing it himself? It's not as if he has any experience in these matters, and even humans can have trouble handling complex emotional thoughts occasionally. Again, I don't know that he's having any kind of emotions. I don't know. He is an android, right? Before you can fully rationalize his behavior, he offers you a short bow. Have a good day, then, miss. And with that, he makes for the opposite end of the hall. The distance between you seems much further than it should be, but you know that forcing confrontation wouldn't change that, so you let him go with a small sigh. The rest of the day passes slowly, and you're all too eager to return to your bunk to sleep it off and think. Maybe if you're lucky, the extra work Silas is putting into the pod will mean that you can return to cryosleep sooner than you thought. Trying to hang on to his encouraging thought, you let yourself drift to sleep. Several days pass, and you're pleased to discover that you've managed to get your sleep cycles consistently down to 12 hours or less. Your body is strong enough now to go about your daily routine without tiring, and Silas begins guiding you through the next stage of physical therapy, calisthenics. Lots of calisthenics. So much that you actually look forward to the occasional jogging session in the gym's lone treadmill, just to take a break from the struggling against your own body weight day after day. Aside from this longer, more arduous fitness routine, you still don't see much of Silas. It's been nearly a week since you joined him in the navigation room, and he seems to be less inclined to socialize with you than before. Not that the two of you were on very friendly terms to begin with, but with all the extra energy you've acquired, boredom has become a near constant struggle. Listening to music, cleaning the ship, grooming, exercising, and eating are your only available distractions. You can't help but want company to alleviate the loneliness, even his. Silas interrupts your musings with a rare look of gratification. You wouldn't go so far as to call it a happy expression, but it's clear that he's pleased with you. Your progress has been satisfactory today, miss. I recommend 5 additional minutes of stretching to offset the muscle soreness you will likely experience, and perhaps a warm compress. Ah, little help? Your back gives a slightly worrisome twinge, and Silas obligingly assists you into a more comfortable position. Thanks, I'll get that compress after I take a break for some rations. His contented expression wavers and hardens a bit. The immediate use of a compress or a hot bath would be more effective at preventing delayed onset muscle. You can't help but laugh at his natural bossiness, easily overpowers his good mood. A little stiffness won't kill me, Silas. Not eating might. He gives you a haughty look that only serves to make you giggle even harder. That's funny. Your use of hyperbole is unnecessary. At least allow me to help you to the dispensary then. You give in gracefully, realizing that he's probably only using the excuse to monitor your eating habits. And you allow it, knowing that this presents a perfect opportunity to spend some more time with a reserved android. Once you've completely finished cooling down, Silas takes your hand in his to help you to your feet. His bare fingers are very cool against yours, and his touch is almost excessively gentle. And you are smiling, or he says you are smiling again. He phrases the observation like a question, and you feel compelled to answer. All right. An android is an android. It's an alien. If it gets pleasure from giving her pleasure, where is the story going? Exactly, Angel. That's a good question. All right, so what are we saying here? Wink, it's okay to be a little rougher with me, Silas. I promise I won't break. Sorry, that just tickled me for some reason. Release his hand. It was nothing. Yes, because you're holding my hand like a princess or something. It's cute. I don't know. I'm going to say it's cute. Sounds like a woman thing to say. Yes, because you're holding my hand like I'm a princess. It's kind of cute. You smirk at the way his gaze skitters to the side, shy as a teenage boy's. He's not blushing, though. You doubt he even can blush. But his bashfulness is obvious and endearing, even so. An android is like... well, that's kind of weird. He almost has emotional responses here in some of these situations. He does not let go of your hand, despite the fact that you both know you're perfectly capable of walking without the assistance. Silas leads you straight to a seat in the next room, and as you shift your tired muscles to the most comfortable position you can manage, he assembles a tray of food and brings it to you. I believe you'll find the nutritional content of this meal optimal. It must be. It barely even looks edible. Thanks, Silas. He favors you with a teeny smile. If there's nothing else, Miss Kendall, I should getting back to work. I should be getting back to work. You should stay and keep me company for a while instead. Or do you have to? No, I'm going to boss him around. I want company, damn it. I need attention. Very well. You're pleasantly surprised at how readily he sits down next to you. Normally, if you feel strongly about a course of action, usually pertaining to your welfare, he doesn't hesitate to argue about it. Not willing to lock a gift horse in the mouth, you decide not to question it. In the long pause that follows, the only sound in the room comes from your fork scraping along the bottom of the tray. Clearly, any conversation is going to have to start with you. Chewing, you try to organize your thoughts enough to decide what to ask him first. It's a little hard to think with him staring there, silently watching you eat. So what did you do before you enlisted in the spirit? We've already asked him that before, and he didn't answer, I think. Laugh nervously. You make me self-conscious staring at me like that. Or would it be alright if I asked you a few questions about being an android? I'm going to ask him that. If you don't mind, if you didn't know him as well as you do, you might have missed the very subtle narrowing of his eyes. Clearly, your question offended him, and when he answers, his voice sounds a bit tight, but still courteous. I've told you most of the generalities. What more would you like to know? You really don't want to talk about this, do you? Sorry, I should have been more specific. What did you do before the spirit? Forget it. Maybe the plan to work on the cryopod was a good one after all. No, I'll go back to this one again, see if he answers it. What did you do before the spirit? You refrained from answering before. Silas folds his hands neatly at the tabletop before answering. I was enlisted only 2 years after I was equipped with advanced artificial intelligence. My existence prior to that would not interest you, I'm sure. I did not form relationships with others until after the AI was upgraded. What do you mean, upgraded? Before a unit is upgraded, their AI is very simple. They can obey uncomplicated orders, but they have no ability for reason or to adapt. Many cannot do that much without a command line prompt of some sort, so they typically cannot even talk. Some units go their whole existence with that state, working in menial capacities. I myself I used to crush rubble and clear land for construction before I was commissioned. Your fork hovers in the air, forgotten, in front of your mouth. It's strange to imagine him living like that before you met. If living is what you should even call it, the word doesn't even quite match up to your idea of life, and you suspect it doesn't match his either. The way he carefully replaces it with the term existence is telling. During those 2 years, however, I was kept in the LAS headquarter building, where I assisted my makers in the assembly and maintenance of other Model 51s. Oh, is that why? He turns away from you slightly, touching a fingertip over the embossed number imprinted on his chest. Yes, I believe that my creator developed a fondness for me, calling me by my name Silas instead of just printing a full serial number on me like the others. Oh, so we finally find out why he doesn't have a serial number. So you're an insecure girl? Huh. AJ says I'm pretty much the embodiment of Zaxtor99, so you're also an insecure girl. Oh my god, Angel. There is just the teeniest hint of disdain in his voice as he mentions the other Model 51s. Odd, but then you consider how many turns his short life has already taken. Android or not, they're undoubtedly changed him. He's probably seen and done more than most of his fellow synthezoids will ever do, and because of that, he probably feels as disconnected from them as he does from humans. Did you like it there? Working in the assembly line with your creator? Is that why you left? He left you uncolored? Thanks for telling me this, Silas. Do you want to leave and go back to work? Yes, I'm going to ask that. He appears to give this suggestion some thought before slowly nodding. Yes, I believe I should leave the subject here for today, Miss Kendall. Rising elegantly from his seat, he turns to the door. And before leaving, he pauses in the threshold, looking back at you with a strangely intense gaze. Oh, wow. It's kind of weird. I took the liberty of acquiring a datapad for you to use in your downtime. You should find it on your bunk when you return to your quarters. What? You acquired... You gape after him slightly, but don't have a chance to ask him where it came from before he turns the corner to disappear down the hall. You almost don't dare to believe it. Feeling more than excited than you have in days, you bolt down the rest of your meal, barely tasting any of it. It's impossible to get to your cabin fast enough, and when you see the shiny silver datapad on top of your bed, as promised, you gasp out loud. Yay, you actually got a, something to communicate with other people with? How are you going to do that in space? But maybe. Absurdly, your eyes swim with tears. That is cool. You don't know how he got one, or why he's giving it to you now, but you set those questions aside for the moment. You pick it up gently and wait for it to power up. This impossibly precious gift that your android has just bestowed on you. Once it finishes going through the system startup, you eagerly navigate to the media settings and input your extranet address, only to find your inbox flooded with digital mail from various family members and friends. That is so cool. She can finally get emails and contact and talk to people and get that interaction, that human interaction that she needs. Absolutely. I guess it comes along with being Zax. Oh my god, AJ. So that would be awesome after everything she's been through. to be able to get a data pad like that and be able to read all your missing emails that you haven't read. I mean, that would be an awesome emotional moment for sure. Message upon message of concern and love and fear for your safety. The outpouring of emotion is so strong, and you read each one while sobbing quietly. Aww. The best case scenario, you've been hoping to contact them all in about 8 weeks. You clutch the datapad tightly to your chest and wonder if Silas realizes that in giving you this gift, he has basically saved your loved ones from 8 weeks of pain and uncertainty, of grief. Wipe your face and resolve to thank him later. You have tons of messages to answer. Find him and hug him right now. What do you guys think? I've already idolized Zaxter. Hey, you should idolize me, AJ, because how many other YouTubers do you guys know that'll sit and read a visual novel, read you guys basically a book, if you would, and I've done this many, many times. How many of you guys, how many YouTubers out there do you guys know that will read to you guys for over 3 hours? And I have done this many times. There's not a lot of other YouTubers out there that'll do what I do for you guys, to show you guys the value in reading, in, you know, in something that's not already on screen. You don't have to have a video game with amazing graphics to be a lot of fun, to open up the imagination. Books and novels like this can really spark your imagination. They can take you places that no movie, even with the best Hollywood special effects, can ever take you. Angel says, well, Zax, Elon Musk has said he is working with Google to provide internet on Mars when they populate the planet in 2033. So not that improbable she gets a message in space in the distant future. AJ says, yeah, Zax is a pretty amazing guy. Thanks, AJ. Alright, AJ wanted to hug him, so we're going to hug him. We're going to go hug him, even though I'm tempted. I would probably choose the first one, because he is an android, and people back home are eagerly awaiting my replies to their emails and messages and everything else. But I'm curious to find out what he does when I go hug him, because we got to admit, this datapad was a great gift. And we're going to find him and hug him. Let's find out what happens. Mind made up, you jump to your feet and sprint out of your room. We're going to say that she's pretty emotional. I mean, she's crying and stuff like that. She's going to be pretty happy about getting that datapad from the Android. I think it's a pretty good gift. I think she's going to be pretty emotional. A hug seems like it's pretty plausible. So you sprint out of your room. Down the hall, you pound on the door to the engine room, calling his name until it opens to reveal a very bewildered android. And he says, Kendall, what are you? But you're not here for words. You could be less interested in words. You cut him off by throwing your arms all the way around his middle and hugging him for all you're worth. Thank you. Your companion is quiet for a long time, standing stiffly in your embrace, arms held out awkwardly as if he doesn't know quite what to do with them. Wow, that's an awkward moment, huh? Take pity on him and break the hug smiling. That's all I wanted to say. Hug closer. Relax, Silas. I'm not going to bite you. Or this is the part where you put your hands on my waist and hug me back. Yeah, I think I'm going to say that. He is not loosening up for your satisfaction, and because you're right there pressed against him, he's still not loosening up to your satisfaction, and because you're right there pressed against him, you lift yourself up on your toes, pressing a light kiss onto his cheek. He says nothing. A teeny spark of electric current tingles your lips, however, and there's no other way to describe it. It melts under your affection. Or he melts, sorry. Okay, so you kiss him on his cheek, and a teeny spark of electric current tingles your lips. And there's no other way to describe it. He absolutely melts under your affection. What? He doesn't say anything. His hands violently settle on your back, just above your waist. There is no pressure or weight on them. He is simply replicating your touch, reassuring you that while he may not know what to do, this is by no means an unwanted advance. You shift slightly in his embrace, trying to get more comfortable. While there is certainly less give to his body than an average human's, you would still say that he is surprisingly huggable. Really? I never would have known that an android is surprisingly huggable. Thank God for this novel, huh? He mumbles something incomprehensible into your hair, his arms tightening just a fraction. Right when you feel him begin to unwind, he uses his grip to gently pull away and look down at you. He looks happy. Well, that's cool. He looks happy. Or is it just her imagination? You are welcome, he says. The two of you stare at each other a bit awkwardly for a minute as you lower your arms. You say this. I should go and write some messages to my family before I go to bed. Yes, that would be a sensible course of action. And after a strangely unloaded pause, you both turn to head back to your respective areas of the ship, looking like a pair of shy, prepubescent, I don't know that word, pre-puberty children. You return to your cabin with a sigh. Was that really just about gratitude? The answer doesn't seem so clear anymore, not from your perspective, and you suspect this would be his would be even more confusing. Not wanting to get caught up in it, when you really just want to bask in the good things that have happened to you today, you turn your attention to the data pad on your bunk instead. And you stay up late into the night, carefully sending replies to everyone that you love, assuring them that you are en route to a safe place and that you'll contact them again once you get there. It's tempting to stay awake long enough to receive word back from them, but you reluctantly put the small device away after nodding off a third time. It feels so wonderful to fall asleep without worry and stress clouding your mind for once. It's wonderful to feel so at peace. Time seems to move much faster for you now that you have a link to the rest of humanity, I can imagine. When you confront Silas about where he got the data pad, he is extremely evasive. You suspect that he scavenged it from one of the dead former crew members' belongings. Yeah, I would think so too. This doesn't sit well with you. It's a bit too much like the grave robbing for your taste. You feel guilty, but you reason that the owner probably wouldn't mind you using it. You're not sure why he'd hide it. It's not as if the previous owner needs it anymore. No, I think knowing me, I think I would conclude that whoever died probably would not mind me using their data pad to contact my own family. It's not like I'm being invasive or being evil in any way. And besides, the android gave it to me. Yeah, I'm not going to feel guilty. I'm not going to feel that guilty about it. I'm not going to have, oh my god, I can't live with this. No. You're only trying to stay in contact with your loved ones after all. Surely whoever owned it before wouldn't begrudge you for that. Exactly. You like to believe that if you had been in their place and someone had survived in yours, you wouldn't resent them for using the means they had available to tell their family that they were safe. Exactly. The digital clock in the corner of your cabin tells you that it's been a little over a week since Silas gifted you the device. Although his work and your correspondences have kept you both relatively busy, you've managed to fall into a routine that has left you plenty of time to chat and spend time together. Instead of taking all your meals in the dispensary, you've developed a habit of sneaking your trays into the engine room where Silas allows you to sit on the floor as he tinkers. And you balance your tray across your knees and nibble while chatting with him intermittently about anything that crosses your mind. The conversations help you take your mind off food and an almost necessity distraction, now that he has you eating an additional 300 calories a day as part of the final stage of preparations. He even invites you into the navigation room a few more times to stargaze. Always under his supervision, of course. You grow so accustomed to his company that when he pauses in the middle of telling a story one day, you don't expect the interruption to have anything to do with anything other than how close the two of you have accidentally drifted together. You realize that's been happening with increasing frequency. Alright, so you're getting closer to the end right now. He says, final diagnostics are complete, Miss Kendall. The pod is ready for you to use. And you freeze. Oh, here comes the big emotional ending, right? Angel says, so this is how a sci-fi porn starts out. Angel says, I'll never look at a hug the same way. You could have found some good stuff on that tablet, Zax. You've ruined this brilliant moment. You've ruined this brilliant moment. That's funny. And so you freeze. He's saying your pod's ready. I think it's goodbye time, guys. Are you guys ready for this emotional moment? Try to hold back your tears, AJ. And I'll try to do the same. It's not that you haven't been expecting this moment. You have. It seems so soon, and honestly, with this newfound closeness between you and Silas, the idea of closing yourself off from him for a whole month doesn't have the appeal that it once did. Especially since you have no clue what will happen to him when you reach Amalthea. Your friendship doesn't seem likely to continue. He waits expectantly for you to acknowledge that your pod is ready. Frown. Are you sure? Wait a minute. Are you done? So tomorrow then? Already? Yeah, I'm going to say already. Because I don't know what he's talking about. He expresses his confusion with slightly squinted eyes. A quirk he may or may not have picked up from you. Yeah, remember, he can learn from other humans. He did say that. So he might have learned the squint of eyes from her. Recalibrating the cryopod has taken me over 46 days. Even with our limited resources, I should have been able to complete the work in less time. Yet you are disappointed that it has not taken even longer? Huh, he asks. Yes, to be honest, I was hoping we could spend more time together. Or, no, I was just asking for clarification. It'll be going under tomorrow then? Or, I was thinking that I could maybe stay awake just a bit longer? I guess I'll be as clear as concise as I can. Yeah, I was hoping to spend more time together with you. It says she's getting close to him, so why not ask? The expression that crosses his face deserves a stronger word than shocked. You imagine that for an android, appalled would be more accurate. That would be astronomically unwise to spend more time with him. Your rations will only last so long, and should be preserved as much as possible in the event of an And you say there's more than enough on board for me to make it the rest of the trip. As for the risk, you've said yourself that we're only about a month's distance from Amalthea, maybe less. If we're careful, we shouldn't... And he says, I should not need to remind you of the fact that unforeseen events can always occur. And he's angry. He hasn't spoken to you this harshly in weeks. The force of his sudden anger is surprising in its intensity, even more so than when he finishes his thought. We've pissed him off. I will ensure you are in that pod, by force, if I must. Wow. Maybe he's sick and tired of her. You really can't argue with that logic. Fine, you're right, I was being silly. Or force, whether or not I get into that pod is my decision, Silas. No, I think I'm going to feel silly. I don't think I'm going to want to stay with him over getting to the planet. The cold expression melts only slightly as he jerks a short nod in response. So you agree to re-enter the pod then? You sigh, not liking it, but knowing that this choice makes the most sense. Yes. Very well. Tomorrow then. Your feet can't carry you out of the room fast enough. When you reach the sanctuary of your bunk, you collapse on top of it with a huff. You feel so tired all of a sudden. Trying to push any and all thoughts of Silas out of your mind, you roll over, turning your mind to the reality that you'll be doing in the morning. The thought of getting back in the pod is more than a little frightening. You trust that Silas wouldn't allow you to use it if you weren't certain of his calibrations, but he's already proven once that he isn't infallible. True? It's hard not to dwell on the confusion and fear you felt the first time you awakened. Even though he has repeatedly assured you that it was only that traumatic because of the lesser functionality of the pod prior to his modifications, and how injured you were going in, you can't help feeling reluctant to go back under. Makes sense? You toss and turn for several hours, not being able to sleep. Great. Not having to wake up at an assigned time is one benefit of being adrift in space, as you slowly come to discover. It is well into the next day when you finally get out of bed. And this is it. In the latrine, you carefully brush your teeth, shower, and then don a clean uniform. It'll be at least a month, if not longer, before you can take care of your hygiene again, so you must make the most of it now. Silas doesn't come looking for you right away, which should surprise you, but it doesn't. You force yourself to gulp down a quick meal in the food dispensary, even though the nerves are making everything taste like glue in your mouth. With nothing left to do to distract yourself from the inevitable, you clear up after yourself and make your way into the hall. Angel said, AJ, argue with him. You're a strong, independent woman, and you don't need an android telling you what to do. Angel says, lots of laughs. Yes, Zax, you're a strong, independent woman. Remember that. Oh my god, you guys. You take a moment to gather your composure before knocking at the door of the engine room. Before you've even lowered your arm, it opens and Silas's soft voice beckons you inside. Your heart rate picks up at the side of the ladder that leads to the round opening on the top of the pod. Turning your attention away toward the android companion, you find that he's standing there calmly, arms collapsed behind his back. Everything is ready for you, miss. His tone is quiet, almost pensive. His eyes search yours for a moment, and it looks as if he wants to say something. You're suddenly struck with appreciation for what Silas has managed to do for you in the weeks that you've known him. Perhaps you're even willing to say he's giving you a better understanding of androids in general. Who knows? This will be the last time you see him, or anyone for that matter, until you awake from your frozen sleep. And the moment feels oddly profound. And another choice. I guess I'll see you on the other side then? Or give him a little grin. Stop putting... Thanks for putting up with me, Silas. You're a good friend. Smirk. Hope you don't get too lonely without me around, Silas. Or frown. You sure nothing will go wrong while I'm stuck in there? I think I'm going to say this. Give him a grin, and thanks for putting up with me, Silas. You're a good friend. The softening of his expression is barely perceptible, but you've gotten quite good at catching the little nuances. His lips kick up in that familiar half smile of his. No human has ever been kinder to me, except perhaps my own creator. Your smile turns a little sad at this. You can't have served many different humans then. And he says, I've served many, many humans, and their level of decency is not something I was ever able to quantify before. because there is no way for an AI to objectively measure something like kindness. Wow. He meets your eyes once more, and something flickers in his gaze. Something warmer than what an android should really be capable of. I know that I have not miraculously acquired an ability to gather this data, and yet I am certain I understand them better now. Those people that I have served. Thanks to you. Ah, you stare up at him, your eyes watering for some odd reason. Ah, this whole time you spent learning about him, about his kind. It never occurred to you that perhaps he was getting something out of it as well. Something that couldn't be programmed or written into his code. His hand is gentle as it guides you over to the cryopod's rung ladder. You climb to the top with Silas right behind you. It didn't seem quite as tall when you were getting out a few weeks ago, but then you were half blind at the time. Once at the top, Silas carefully rotates the heavy handle and cracks open the hatch. You will have to drop inside. Unfortunately, I have decreased gravity in there enough so that you should not hurt yourself, regardless of how you land. How I land? You bark, alarmed. He answers you with a calm, matter-of-fact tone. I would not recommend diving head first, but any landing within reason should be particularly harmless. The emphasis on the word practically, the emphasis on the word practically makes your teeth clench a little, but you obediently drop in anyhow. And when the lesser amount of gravity inside the chamber slows your descent in accordance with his words, you relax a bit. I will be closing the hatch now, miss. I advise you to lie down on the platform before it goes dark and the chemicals release. His words sound muffled when he closes the hatch, but you can still hear them if you concentrate. And you hear the quiet, slightly alarming hiss of the knockout gas being released inside of the tiny, enclosed chamber in an attempt to calm your racing heart. Everything will be fine, you say. And you remind yourself of this over and over and over. You chant the words, creating a mantra for yourself even as the power of the drugs takes over and you slide helplessly into the familiar void of unconsciousness. Some people are known to have extremely vivid dreams while cryosleeping, and you are not one of those people. Your slumber is both deep and dreamless, ending in a gently tapering hum. What was that noise? It sounded like the faraway electric whir of something powering down. You wouldn't have heard it at all if not for the absolute silence surrounding it. Blinking owlishly and glancing around your surroundings, you only experience an instant of disorientation this time. She's awake. We're just in time, Hamar. Let me open the hatch. Deja vu assails you as a halo of light appears overhead, and you gaze upward even though you know you're about to be blinded again. Hello? You don't recognize either of the male voices above you, but they both breathe out gustly sighs of relief. We heard your distances signal, and we came here to rescue you, miss. Sorry it took so long. The older sounding of the two men explains just before you hear the rattling sturdy wood clacking together. We have a ladder here you can use if you're alright, miss. If you feel too weak to climb, just hold on and we'll pull you up. Eventually, you are lifted out of the cryopod for what you hope will be the last time. You can barely see the two strangers standing on top with you, but one of them helps you sit for a moment while the other scribbles some notes on the datapad in his hands. Everything will be alright now, Miss Kendall. You've made it to safety on Amalthea. That was quick. You freeze at the way he says your name. You haven't heard it spoken in a long time. The only choice there. With actual inflection and human emotion. So yeah, you're actually only hearing human inflection and emotion now. It warms you in a way nothing else has in the past few weeks has been able to. Miss, are you alright? You're better than alright. You're home. Even here amongst these unfamiliar faces and an unfamiliar planet, you're finally home. Ending achieved. Paltry their lives are. Alright guys, that was the ending. I think it could have been more emotional. I think I was expecting it to end a little bit more emotional than it did. AJ's like, this is taking too long. Just jump into the pod and fly home. It ended pretty quick there at the end. It could have drug out even longer. Overall, and I don't know if it's just because I was reading it and talking and putting my thoughts in all the time, but it did seem to drag out a little bit longer than it could have, or than it should have. I won't say that I didn't really enjoy this. It was pretty good, but I think it drug out quite a bit longer than it really needed to. I think it could have done the same thing and had the same effect and been about half as long. But again, part of that might be my fault for, putting my own thoughts and laughs and everything into it. But hopefully you guys enjoyed me, telling you my thoughts and being a perv at times and laughing at other times and interacting with the chat at other times. You won. Go home, Zax. Don't stream for another 2 weeks. AJ says, oh my god, AJ, you brat. Angel says, what was the moral point of the story then? Angel says, plot twist, the gas is poisonous and the android is killing her. That, I don't know, Angel. What was the point of the story? There towards the end, when she was having that last conversation with him, it kind of seemed like there might have been a little bit of a point when it said that something about an android could learn human emotion or something. I don't know. Yeah, I gotta agree with Angel. I don't really think there was as much of a point to this as I was expecting. I think it could have been better served if there would have been some better climax. And maybe there is. Maybe I just picked or chose the choices that gave me an ending that didn't have as an impactful an ending as one of the other possible endings. But evidently, guys, there are 3 endings to this My Soul. And if you guys want to play through it yourself, I'm sure you can do it a lot quicker than 3.5 hours. I'm guessing it'll probably only take you an hour and a half to read through it yourself. And, you're going to read to yourself a lot quieter. You're not going to read every word probably, and you're just going to get the gist of it and make choices a lot quicker and get through it a lot quicker. But, feel free to play it yourself, guys. The link is in the description. It's completely free. Montague says, this helped me edit my videos. Your voice is quite calming. Well, thanks, Montague. I'm glad you enjoyed it in my calming voice kind of way. This My Soul wasn't nearly as long. 3.5 hours. It was about half as long as You With Me, the visual novel I read about cancer. I gotta say, I enjoyed You With Me a lot more from Afterthought Studios, the visual novel I read this past weekend, or that I finished up this last weekend. 4 parts of that one. But the last part was extremely emotional and riveting. And I thought that You With Me had a way better ending and felt like it had a way better purpose and meaning than this did. I mean, this was entertaining, I guess, but besides kind of cheap, what's the word? Besides being a little bit of fun to read and a little bit entertaining, there really wasn't some deep meaning behind this visual novel. So I'm a little bit disappointed that it didn't have some bigger purpose behind it, like Angel pointed out. Why did she focus so much on those androids' long fingers? That is one of the mysteries for you to figure out, Angel, when you lie down tonight and rest your weary muscles. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that was just put in there as a thing to make perverts like you and I think weird thoughts or if that was actually something, I don't know. Maybe he was just trying to be, maybe the author was just trying to be really descriptive. I don't know. Anyway, guys, that was This My Soul. 3 hours and 40 minutes it took me to get through this. Yeah. I need to take a breath, guys. Catch my breath after reading for 3.5 hours. I do appreciate you guys for being here. I hate to say that, what would you guys give this on a scale of 1 to 10? I mean, I'm not going to calculate the cost because it's completely free, but is it even worthy of your time? I feel like there's a lot better visual novels, even though they might cost a few bucks on Steam. They might be well worth the cost over something like this, because if I'm going to spend 3.5 hours reading aloud a visual novel, I think there's better options, and I think I've already read a lot better visual novels than this one. I don't think this is worthy of all the praise it's getting over on the Itch.io website, all the reviews. I'm going to give This My Soul I'm only going to give this about a 5 or a 6 out of 10. In fact, I think I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. I don't think it's that great, guys. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed parts of it. I had fun with it in moments. But overall, this is an average at best visual novel. And if I knew that now, I probably wouldn't go through the 3.5 hours to read it. I think I was hoping for a better ending. Maybe I'm starting to get spoiled by visual novels because I've been really lucky. I've read some really good, I picked out and read some really good visual novels from Steam and other places. So I've read some pretty good ones, and I've really enjoyed some really good ones. So I guess I'm getting spoiled because I would only give this one about a 5, and I don't think it's worthy of all the praise it's getting over on Itch.io. I mean, still a decent job. I thought it was pretty well written by the author. I'm not knocking the author, but again, I don't think this is one of the greatest visual novels that's a must read or anything either. Angel says the only thing that ups the score was you reading it with us being able to distract your dumb comments. Yeah, exactly. Angel's like, now I'll be wondering forever why she was always focused on his long fingers. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she likes long fingers, Angel. Alright guys, thanks so much for being here. I'm sure I'll be back. I still have to get back to The Walking Dead, guys. I have to finish Season 3. I still have 2 episodes left in Season 3 of The Walking Dead to read. Episode 4 and Episode 5. I am dying to find out how that is going. And honestly, I kind of wish that I had read Episode 4. Actually, I probably could have done both of them in the time that I read this. But we will get to The Walking Dead this week. Probably some more Dead by Daylight and maybe some more other indie games as well, which I have them stacking up. Developers are giving me indie games all the time. And I want to thank them, all the developers who have given me games the past few months that I haven't really played many of. But maybe I'll get to a few of those in the coming days as well. Guys, Angel, AJ, Montague, whoever else is here, thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you guys being here as you guys heard me read one of the less inspirational visual novels I've read. Not horrible by any stretch of the imagination, but certainly not great either. Thanks so much for being here with me, though, guys. I have enjoyed talking with you guys. You guys gave me a few laughs. Hopefully, I gave you guys a little bit of entertainment and laughs as well. And I love you guys as always. Thanks so much for being here, guys. Be sure if you're watching the replay of this video that you give me a like if you enjoyed it in some way. And be sure you comment down below and let me know what you guys thought of This My Soul. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Love you guys all. We'll see you in the next video. Take care, everybody.